A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all old-time radio.
Five bells. Stand by all stations.
Attention, all districts. A 5-alarm fire. 5 bells. Move in immediately.
That's it. Let's go. Let's go. Firefighters.
Presenting Firefighters, the true-to-life story of our unsung heroes who stand ready to ride by day or night against our most murderous enemy, the demon of fire. In just a minute, we'll drop in at Chief Cody's office in Fire Department headquarters to hear the climax of his story of old-time firefighting, his account of the famous big fire that nearly destroyed the city years ago. But first, we have time for this message. Let's go, firefighters. Let's go to Chief Cody's office at Fire Department headquarters, where you remember he is telling Fireman Tim Collins' brother and sister, Jimmy and Trudy, about the big fire in the old days, back in the times when, as Chief Cody says...
Why, kids, that was when my own dad was the lieutenant of Hook and Ladder 3-1s. And his driver, the man who had charge of the horses, was your own grandfather, Tim Collins.
And just a moment ago, Chief Cody described the start of the big fire, when, with a strong wind blowing, an alarm was sounded from District 12 down by the waterfront. When Town Fire Marshal Baker reached the scene, he found...
Oh, that whole block of buildings is ablaze.
Watch yourself, Marshal. That wind is driving the fire right down on us. We've got to move back.
Where'd it start, Collins?
In Rafferty's coal pits, Marshal. 100 tons of hay went up like paper, and now it's in the Columbia.
Well, we'll try to save the harness factory. You engine man, turn that water on the harness factory. Let the lumber yard go.
Marshal Baker.
Here, Lieutenant Cody.
We got to pull back, Marshal. We got to pull back or we'll lose half our equipment.
We can't pull back. What are you talking about?
Look there, Marshal. 2 blocks away.
It's jumped ahead of us. That murderous wind.
The wind is throwing great chunks of flame into those rooftops, Marshal. The fire's racing ahead of us, a street at a time.
Hey, they jumped. Jump at the runway.
All those horses.
They can't. It's a runaway. Look out, Marshal. Look.
Hey, it's 209. Engine 209 lost their horses.
You all right, Marshal?
You didn't have to knock me down, Cody.
Better than letting you get trampled under those hooves. Oh, Collins.
Yes, sir.
Can you manage your horses?
Can the ducks swim?
All right. This is no time for joshing. Hook up to the ladder truck and pull out.
That's all companies. Hook up your horses. Pick up and pull out.
3-1. Pick up and pull out.
Collins.
Yes, sir. I'm on my way.
When you unhitch at your new stand, bring those horses back here if you can. Hook up to engine 209. They'll never catch their own team again.
Right, sir. As soon as I can.
Where shall we make a stand, Marshal? This fire's eaten into the business district already.
Get ahead of it, Cody.
Hey, where's my pop?
We'll be running through fire all the way for 6 blocks. All right, sir. I'll do...
Pop, here's your white helmet.
Get started, Cody.
Yes, sir. Clear out. All companies, clear out.
What kept you so long, Johnny?
Hey, Whizzicus, Pop, I came as fast as I could. That's a long run all the way from the Union House.
Hold back 6 blocks. Get ahead of the fire.
Hey, Whizzicus, Pop, don't you know?
Huh? Know what, Johnny?
Everybody's running away. All District 12. Clear from the waterfront here to Union Square.
Running away. Evacuating. Everybody?
Everybody, in case you can't stop the fire, Pop. Gee, Whizzicus, I was the only one coming this way. Wagons, drays, buggies, jigs, folks on horseback. Folks just running like old Nick was after him. Me, I was the only one coming this way.
Well, where's my trumpet?
Here, Pop.
Johnny.
Yes, sir?
Johnny, you run back to Union Square. Get hold of the mayor. Tell him I sent you.
I'll go as fast as I can, Pop.
You tell the mayor to send out a call for all fire companies for 10 miles around. Volunteers, anything. And tell him to put a request on the telegraph. Any city that can get help to us inside 24 hours. I don't care what it is. Men, horses, apparatus, send it along by special train.
Yes, sir. And Pop, Mom says look out for yourself.
Oh, yes, sir. And Johnny?
Yes, sir?
You look out for yourself, boy. Now, scamper.
Oh, yes, sir.
All companies!
Hey, Pop, use your trumpet. Save your voice. Mom said to tell
Oh, yes, sure. All companies, pull out now. No time to save your hose line. Pull out.
Collins, fellas, we can't stay here. Hook up those horses again.
Now, that makes our fourth move, Lieutenant Cody.
Can you get spare horses or relief?
Not a chance.
Then do what you can, Tim. Save the equipment as long as we can.
Yes, sir.
Lieutenant Cody, there's a message from Marshal Baker.
Oh, Johnny Baker, your pop told you to get out of this. Now get along home to the Union House.
Yeah, I'm going, Lieutenant. Pop said he'd shine my britches right on. But he gave me one last message.
Speak up fast, boy.
Engine 203 is in trouble, Pop says. Lost all their men. Gone to the hospital when the gasworks blew up.
Oh, good grief. That makes near 100 men out of action.
Collins, get those horses hooked up.
No, wait, Lieutenant. The company from out of town took all the spare horses. Pop says, can you send Collins to pull out engine 203? Collins and your own team.
Well, our horses are good for about one more trip, Lieutenant.
Marshal's order, Tim. Can you carry them out?
I don't know if I try, but I'll try right now.
Now, Johnny, you run home. Let's hope this fire doesn't take you back to your...
All right, steady there. Steady, Stables. Steady, Thomas. Oh, boy. Oh, good grief. You can't see what's going on with those bags tied around your head. But steady there. If you could see, you'd have something to snort about.
Hey, Mr. Collins!
Huh? Johnny!
Gee whizzing, I don't know which way to go.
Look, Lieutenant Cody said you should go home. Your pop said so, too.
But I can't go home. That fire jumped ahead of me right over the roofs. It's almost reached all the way to Union Square.
Well, then the whole town's done for.
And Pop's Hotel, too. Just the other side, across the square. Gee, what'll we do?
Well, stick with me. There's engine 203 all by your lonesome down in front of the Temperance Hall.
Yeah, flames flying out of every window.
Yeah.
Hey, it looks like...
Hold your horses, boys. Steady, Stables. Steady. Thomas, easy.
Hey, we gotta be quick.
Too late. That building's coming down. Right on top of the engine.
Yeah, but it can't. That's a cast iron front on Temperance Hall. All solid iron, 3 stories high. It can't fall.
Oh, no?
Gee whizzing, it's the whole front. It's cracking up.
Yes, sir. There she goes.
Holy smoke.
The engine's smashed flat beneath that pile of scrap iron. Come on, Johnny. Mount up.
What? Oh, where?
Up on Staples. Come on, climb up on his back.
Okay.
All right, that's the boy. I'll take Thomas here. Oh, easy, boy, easy.
They keep us hooked together. They'll run away.
Son, we don't care about that. We're going to ride like blazes, clean back to Union Square. Beat up, Staples. Beat up, beat up. I've got our hook and ladder truck out of that furnace, Lieutenant Cody.
Good work, Tim. I was afraid I lost you.
Not me, Lieutenant Cody. So where are the rest of the boys?
I don't know, Tim. Hundreds of men milling around, boys from out of town mixed up with our own. I don't know what's become of my company.
Marshal Baker!
What's become of my boy, Johnny?
I sent him home, sir, and this time he went. He's over at the Union House, over there, right across the square.
Oh, then the soldiers will pick him up. So that's all right.
Soldiers?
Yeah.
Martial law, Tim. The soldiers came in. They're clearing every man, woman, and child out of town. Out of what hasn't been burned to the ground already.
Well, then if it's bad as that, what are we going to do?
We're doing it, Tim. Look, those men with red flags.
Everybody back, those men running out of the buildings there?
Yeah.
What's that for?
They've mined the buildings, Tim, with blasting powder.
You mean they're going to blow up those buildings at the edge of the square?
Yep, and all down Main Street, both ways. It's our last chance. Blow those buildings clean out of existence. And maybe blow out the front of the fire.
Marshal Baker, there's your deputy, signaling from down Main Street.
Then here goes. The fuses are lighted. And in a few seconds, they'll let go and...
There it goes. Oh, look at those buildings. They're sliding down into the street.
Yeah, but you haven't heard anything yet,
You'll hear
Howard.
the biggest explosion this side of...
Look at that. Look at it.
I see.
Hey! That fire's not flat.
All companies, every man that can walk, close in. We've knocked that fire down. Now, drown it out. Drown it out.
And as Chief Cody ends his story of the big fire of the old days, Jimmy and Trudy, brother and sister of Tim Collins, the young fireman of today, shiver as if waking from a dream.
Well, kids, there you are. 3 days they fought the big fire with everything they had. And before it was knocked down, half the town had been lost. Now, how about telling that story in that fire prevention play you're going to give at Northside School, huh?
And there's a question for Jimmy and Trudy to think over carefully. Because, as Chief Cody knows, the Firefighters Brigade at Northside School is soon to present a fire prevention play in the auditorium. But there's been a lot of argument about that play. And there's going to be more until circumstances force a decision. as you'll hear in our next true-to-life episode of The Firefighters. And now, in just a moment, Chief Bob Cody will tell you, boys and girls, how you can help the firefighters in your own hometown. But first, here's a message you ought to hear. And now, Chief Bob Cody with a special notice for the Firefighters Brigade. Chief Cody.
Hello, boys and girls. This is Chief Cody. When I talked to you last time, I told you about the soda acid type of fire extinguisher for stopping small fires in ordinary materials, like wood and paper. Well, now I want to tell you about a kind of handy fire extinguisher that can be used on both Class A and Class B fires. That's the foam extinguisher, which throws out a blanket of foam that smothers fire on liquid by cutting off the air. And it also contains water to put out fires on material like wood or paper. Now remember, the foam extinguisher is a mighty handy one to have for stopping a fire before it gets a good start. Or should I say, bad start. Well, that's all, and goodbye for now.
Fire Chief Cody and the young rookie fireman Tim Collins will be back on the same station the next time you hear...
That's it. Let's go! Let's go! Firefighters!
Starring Jack Benny with Barry Livingston, Phil Harris, Rochester, Dempsey, and yours truly, Don Wilson. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight Jack Benny leaves for Chicago, where he starts his vaudeville tour this Friday. So let's go out to Jack's house, where we find Rochester helping him pack.
Rochester, did you pack my socks?
Yeah, of course. I put them right next to your underwear.
Good, good. Now, let's see. We'll be on the train for 2 days. That's 6 meals. You better pack 12 sandwiches. Better make it 14. They have company some nights. Well, it looks like all my clothes are in. Did you bring along my stuff from the medicine cabinet?
Yes, sir. I packed your nerve tonic, stomach tonic, liver tonic, heart tonic, brain tonic, muscle tonic, blood tonic, and tonic tonic.
Tonic? What have I got that for?
In case any of the other tonics get run down, that's what they take.
Oh, yes. Now, make sure they're all packed well so they won't break. And, oh, yes, Rochester, take my golf clubs along. I'm going to play in Chicago.
Yes, sir.
And you better take 2 golf balls. I might play in New York, too.
Okay. Say, boss, when you're in Chicago, are you going over to visit your hometown?
Yeah, good old Waukegan. Yeah, I'll see my cousin Cliff Gordon and my boyhood friend Julia Finnegan. Yeah, I wonder what kind of presents I ought to bring them.
Well, what kind of a man is your cousin? Or is your friend?
My friend? Well, he's retired. He spends most of his time working for his lodge.
He belongs to a lodge?
Yes, he's a moose. Oh, I got it. I'll get him a hat rack. He'll like that. I got the idea from a joke I did on my program a few weeks ago. You know, like a moose needs a hat rack. Can't understand why I didn't get a laugh.
Maybe it isn't funny.
Could be. I don't know, Norman Krasner was mad about it. Rochester, are you all packed?
Yes, sir.
Good.
You know, I kind of hate to leave California, especially at this time of year, when the sun is shining, the flowers are blooming, and the birds are singing.
Yeah, I know just how you feel.
Imagine me giving up all this fresh air and sunshine just to go back to stuffy old Harlem.
What are you doing, Rochester?
Taking some of your brain tonic. I'm talking like an idiot.
You know, oh my goodness, I almost forgot my little black book. You know, I have some wonderful numbers for New York and Chicago.
Oh, you left it right there on the dresser.
Yeah, here it is. Ah, what girls? Joan Robertson, Geraldine Simmons. Ah, that Geraldine Simmons. Hilda Butt. Julia Wadsworth. Barbara Fritchie.
Barbara Fritchie, she's dead.
She is? Gee. Well, I'll put the book in the trunk. Everything else in?
Everything.
Good. Now close it and lock it. Now, Rochester, I want to see if the burglar-proof lock I put on works. Open the trunk again.
Yes, sir.
I wonder if that's loud enough to wake up the baggage man.
That's loud enough to wake up Barbara Fritchie.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm going to phone Phil Harris and see if he's ready.
Don't worry, Jackson. I'll be there. Goodbye. That was Jackson, honey.
Oh, I thought it was the drugstore.
The drugstore?
Mm-hmm. They made a mistake and delivered the wrong bobby pins.
Well, what's wrong with the bobby pins they sent?
Well, they're not the right color. They're too dark for me and too light for you.
Oh, let's take them anyway and rough it.
All right. You know, Phil, I like traveling, but it seems a shame to leave our home and start living in hotels.
Yeah, especially when we have a house like this. Gee, honey, it's really beautiful. The rooms are so big and airy and furnished so nicely. It's the most beautiful home I've ever had. Alice, how much did it cost you?
I don't know, but Phil, what's this little black book?
Huh? Well, I'll be darned. That's that little address book I used to keep before we got married. Ah, you dream book, if you could only talk.
Phil, let me look at some of the names and numbers.
No, Alice, no, after all.
Come on, Phil, let me look. That's a good boy. Geraldine Simmons.
Yeah, that Geraldine Simmons.
And look, Phil, you used to write notations after each name.
Yeah.
Marjorie Krause, redhead, has swimming pool. Peggy Flood, brunette, has car. Alice Faye, blonde, has possibilities. Possibilities? Why, Phil Harris.
Don't get mad, honey. You're the one that got me. You got me. I even turned down Geraldine Simmons. Hey, excuse me, honey. I got to call Dennis and find out what songs he's going to do on the trip.
I haven't decided yet, Phil. I'll talk to you later about them. Okay, Phil, I gotta hang up now. My mother's helping me pack. Goodbye.
My little boy is going away from me.
Now, Mother, don't cry.
And Dennis, next Sunday will be Mother's Day and you won't be here.
I know, but last year when I was on the road, I remembered Mother's Day.
Yes, Dennis. But this year, son, no matter what Mr. Benny tells you, you're supposed to send the candy to me, not him.
But, Mother, everyone on the program gives Mr. Benny presents on Mother's Day. It says so in our contract.
The nerve of Mr. Benny, leaving his parrot here while he's out of town.
You know, Mother, that's a very clever parrot. It sounds just like Mr. Benny.
If it had a toupee, it would look like him, too.
Hey, Mother, will it be all right for me to take Miss Livingston out to dinner in Chicago?
Why, yes, Dennis. Mary's a nice girl.
Oh, well, I'll take her anyhow.
I'll miss you so much when you're gone, but I hope you enjoy yourself.
Oh, I will, Mother. I like Chicago in May, and the people out there are all crazy about me. They think I'm a great comedian, and I'm very funny.
What makes you say that, Dennis?
Well, last year when I was in Chicago, I went swimming in Lake Michigan, and all the people at the beach stood around watching me and laughing at me. I'm going to swim in the lake again and see if I'm still popular.
Well, in that case, I'd better pack your bathing suit.
Oh, bathing suit!
This is Jack Benny talking. And
Well, Mother, I'm all packed now.
Say, Ma, before Dennis leaves, I think I should have a man-to-man talk with him.
All right, son. Go into the other room with your father.
Yes, ma'am.
Son, the years keep passing, and now you're a man.
I am?
Could be. And now, son, it's time you knew the facts of life. You know, I was just your age when I took my first trip, son, and it was to Chicago, too. And it was there I first met your mother.
Yes?
So, son, for goodness sake, be careful.
Yes, Father.
Now, before you go, here's something I used to treasure when I was single. It might come in handy to you.
Gee, a little black address book.
Yes, it has some wonderful numbers in it.
Jeanette Iman, Rosalind Browning, Geraldine Simmons.
That's Geraldine Simmons.
Bernice Smith, Mrs. Ella Rawlins, Tilly Foster, Mrs. Harriet Webster. Father, did you go out with married women, too?
I didn't ask questions. I just had fun.
Well, the only girl I'm going out with is Mary Livingston. And I think I'll call her up now and ask her for a date in Chicago.
Why, certainly, Dennis. We'll have dinner together the first night we're in Chicago. And thanks a lot. No, you needn't bother coming over here. My sister Babe is helping me pack. Okay. Goodbye. See you at the station.
Say, Mary, do you go out with Dennis Day?
Oh, once in a while, Babe. I think he has a slight crush on me.
Well, I think he's cute.
Oh, he is. He has such a wonderful voice.
Yeah. You know, before my voice changed, I was a tenor, too.
Could be. Well, come on, baby. Let's finish my packing.
You know, Mary, I can't get over how surprised you were when I came out here to visit you from Plainfield.
Well, I just wasn't expecting you, that's all.
Gee, when I first telephoned you and said, guess who? You sounded so thrilled.
Yeah, I thought you were Charles Boyer. Now, let's see. I'll put my cosmetics here, my rouge, lipstick, manicure set, permanale, and perfume.
Say, Mary, where did you get this tremendous bottle of perfume?
Oh, Jack gave it to me for Christmas.
Is it good?
It must be. Phil Harris tasted it and said it was swell. Well, there, I guess I'm all packed.
Mary, you left this out.
Oh, that's my address book.
You mind if I look through it?
No, go right ahead.
Harold Warren, Arthur Cook, Frank Remley, William Carter, Geraldine Simmons. Geraldine Simmons? Who's she?
Well, don't you remember? That's Mama's stage name.
Oh, yes. Say, Mary, what station are you leaving from?
Oh, I think it's the Union Station, but I'll check with John Wilson. He always knows those things.
That's right, Mary, the Union Station. You're welcome. Huh? Oh, thanks, but my wife's driving me down. Goodbye.
See, Donald, I hate to see you go.
All right, leave it there.
The house will seem so empty without you.
I know.
Hey, Donald, dear, please remember all the things I told you.
Oh, I remember, dear. I'm to go to bed early. I must wear my long underwear until May 15th. I should take my sulfur and molasses every day, and I shouldn't play cards with strangers.
Or Mr. Benny, either. And another thing, every night before going to sleep, you must do your exercises. You must bend down and touch your toes 100 times.
Oh, boss, come now.
Well, now, everything's ready, and we... Donald, what's this little black address book?
Oh, my goodness, honey, that's something private.
Private? But, Donald, we're married. We should have no secrets from each other.
Honey, please don't ask any questions and give it back to me.
Certainly not. I'm going to look through it. F.E. Boone, Speedy Rigg, L.S.M.F.T. O'Brien. Donald, who is Geraldine Simmons?
I don't know. This used to be my father's book. Now, come on, let's put the baggage in the car. Gee, this packing was some job. 2 trunks, 4 valises, 2 fortnighters, and... Oh, my goodness!
Donald, what's the matter?
What am I packing for? I'm not even going. Anyway, Jack and the gang must be on their way to the station by now. I'd better get down and see them off.
Well, here's the station, Mary. I hope the gang isn't late. Here, let me help you.
Thanks. Say, Jack, who's going to be with you on your stage show at the Chicago Theater?
Well, there'll be Phil Harris, Rochester, Marjorie Reynolds, the Sportsman Quartet, and myself.
Gee, what an important cast. How are you billing the show?
Jack Benny and friends. Now, come on, Mary, let's,
Oh, boss!
Oh, there's Rochester. Rochester, take my bags to the train.
Yes, sir.
Jack, have you got an upper berth or a lower berth?
He's got an upper berth.
How do you know?
Because I'm going to get there first.
We'll see about that.
Well, why don't you toss for it?
Oh, no, we won't. I know what happened the last time I caught.
What happened?
He took a quarter out of his pocket, flipped it into the air, caught it in his hand, it slipped through his fingers, hit the floor, rolled under the seat, and while he was looking for it, I had a good night's sleep.
I never did find it. Yeah, I hope we have the same car today. Now, take care of this luggage. Come on, Mary, let's go to the station. Huh?
Train leaving on track 5 for Anaheim, Azusa, and Cucamonga. Attention all passengers going to Cucamonga. Please have your passports ready.
Hey, Mary, there's Dennis.
Oh, hello, Dennis.
Hello, Mary.
Dennis, what's that tag on your lapel?
When I told my mother I was going on a long trip, she tied it on me.
Your mother put a tag on your lapel? Let me see it. To whom it may concern. The bearer of this tag is Dennis Day. If lost, mind your own business.
Your mother did the same thing last time, Dennis. She certainly has a wonderful sense of humor.
Then why didn't she laugh when I came home?
I don't know. I'll be right back, kids. I'm going over to validate the ticket.
Attention, please. Train leaving on track 8 for Glendale, Barstow, and Block Camorra.
I wonder which ticket window I should go to. I beg your pardon, mister, but are you validating tickets?
Oh, what do you think I'm doing with this rubber stamp? Voting for Hoover?
Look, mister, all I want to do is get these tickets validated. That's all. I'm going to Chicago.
Chicago? Where?
Yeah. I'm returning in 4 weeks.
I knew there was a catch to it.
Now, look, mister, I'm going to report you to the station master and see...
Pardon me just a moment. I'm in a hurry. Do you mind if I go first?
No, it's quite all right.
And what can I do for you, sir?
Well, I'd like to know something. I just heard the train announcer say that the train on track 8 now goes to Glendale, Barstow, and Glockamora.
That's right. Now, what is it you want to know?
How are things in Glockamora? Is that little brook still leaping there?
Yes, it is.
Does it still run down to Donny Cove through Killybegs, Kilkerry, and Kildare?
Yes, it does.
Is that willow tree still weeping there?
Uh-huh.
Does that lassie with the twinkling eye come smiling by? And does she walk away sad and dreamy there, not to see me there?
Yes, she does.
Good. Give me a ticket to West Los Angeles.
There's your ticket and have a pleasant trip.
Thanks.
To him, he's got to be nice yet.
Now, what are you mumbling about?
Look, mister, all I want you to do is validate my ticket. Don't be mad at me.
Right.
Just validate my ticket.
Give me your ticket.
Yes.
Parlor car, Pullman, coach. Parlor car, cattle car. Wait a minute, you've got a batch of tickets here for the cattle car.
Yeah, we're taking Phil Harris's orchestra.
Oh, well, don't forget to spray them with sheepskin.
Now give me those tickets. I got to get back to my gas.
Your attention, please. The train leaving on track 5 will only go to Azusa and Cucamonga. Word has just come from Anaheim that the tracks have been washed out by orange juice. Orange juice. Can you imagine a railroad that would have tracks that are so weak that...
Hey, Mary, something must have happened to the loudspeaker.
Ladies and gentlemen, please excuse that pause. I was stated by the vice president of the railroad.
Gee, they do it here, too.
Jack, you know what Rochester said about him sleeping in the lower berth?
Only if he beats me to it.
I'll give you 8-5, he wins.
What makes you so sure?
He just walked by here in his pajamas.
It won't do him any good. I'll still beat him to the lower berth.
Well, you better hurry. He's brushing his teeth at the drinking fountain.
Rochester!
Good night, boys.
Come back here! Blow out that candle. You're not fooling anybody. Now, Rochester, is this the rest of my luggage right here?
Yes, sir.
Say, Jack,
What?
what have you got here in this big crate?
It's nothing, Mary, nothing. Rochester, get it on the train.
Wait a minute. I'm going to look and see what's in that crate.
Mary, get away from there. Now, Mary, don't lift that lid.
I will, too. Well, I'll be darned.
Gee, I hope the conductor didn't hear him. Say, fellas, in case anything happens, you know what train we're taking, don't you? Wait a minute, fellas, wait a minute. Mary, slam down the lid! Mary, you slammed it so hard you might have hurt him. Let me see. I knew it. You shook him up. The bass is in the middle and the tenor's on top. Rochester, I've got the lid locked. Now put this crate on the train.
Oh, boss, I can't lift that thing.
Well, how'd you get it down here?
I put 8 holes in the bottom and it walked.
Walked?
I rode on top and looked like Sabu.
Now, look, Mary, we'd be able to get back to the station.
Hello, Mr. Benny. Pardon the intrusion.
Huh? Oh, Mr. Kitzel, what are you doing at the railroad station?
I'm taking a trip to New York.
Well, all the way to New York. Huh?
Yes, and I can see my wife's face now. Boy, will she be surprised.
Oh, she doesn't know you're coming.
She doesn't know I'm going.
Mr. Kitzel, don't tell me you had an argument with your wife.
It isn't my wife, it's a relative.
Your relatives, eh? Well, are a lot of them living with you?
You think the station is crowded? At the last count, 36 relatives came to live with us.
36 relatives?
Yeah, 12 of them were taking their word. They have no birth certificate.
Oh, I see.
What a crowd in my house. Every place they're sleeping on the couches, on the beds, on the chairs, and on top of the piano is my cousin Murphy.
Murphy, your cousin?
He's one of the 12. We're taking his word for it.
Oh, I see.
Attention, please. A bulletin from the Lost and Found Department just came in. Will the owners please claim the following? A Pekingese, an umbrella, and a young man with a tag in his lapel.
Oh, my goodness, that must be Dennis. Mary, you get him. I'll stand in line.
Arriving at the lower end of the station, the Lark, El Capitan, the Owl, and coming in on the rail is Jet Pilot.
Jet Pilot?
The Santa Fe chief going to Albuquerque, Kansas City, and Chicago leaves in 5 minutes.
Oh, Martha, we just made it.
And there's Jack Benny standing in line. Shall we go over and give Mr. Benny the flowers we brought for him?
Yes, I guess we'd better.
You know, Emily, we would never have had the courage to come down here if we hadn't split that bottle of ginger beer.
You're so right, kid.
Well, we might as well go and give him the flowers.
Oh, Mr. Benny.
Mr. Benny.
Huh? Oh, hello, girls.
Mr. Benny, we came down to give you this as a going-away gift.
Well, what do you know? An orchid. Oh, girl, you shouldn't have gone to this expense.
Oh, we didn't buy it. Emily won it at Tom Brenneman.
Well, isn't that nice?
Yes, and we want you to have it.
Well, thank you very, very much. Thank you.
Go ahead, Emily. Ask him.
No, you ask him.
No, you ask him.
Oh, well, all right. Mr. Benny.
Yes?
Is this your first orchid?
Yes, it is.
Well, you know what that means, Mr. Benny. I'll have to kiss you.
A little kiss? Why, certainly. Well, what do you know? I kissed Emily and Martha fainted. Gee.
On aboard. Hold your own tickets, please.
Come on, kids. The line is moving. Hurry, Mary. Dennis!
Attention, please. All passengers taking the Chief to Chicago, please walk on tiptoes as you board the train. Rochester is sleeping.
He's in that lower berth. There's going to be trouble. Come on, kid. Let's go.
We're a little late, so good night, folks.
The Jack Benny program is written by Sam Perrin, Milt Josephsberg, George Balzer, John Tackerberry, Al Gordon, Hal Goldman, and produced and transcribed by Hilliard Mark.
Good health to all from Rexall. From New York, it's the Phil Harris Alice Faye Show, presented by the makers of Rexall drug products and 10,000 independent Rexall family druggists.
This is your Rexall family druggist welcoming you for the 10,000 independent druggists who have made the word Rexall part of our own store name. You know us for the orange and blue Rexall sign on our windows, but our most important identification is that we carry the 2,000 or more drug products made by the Rexall Drug Company. In millions of American homes, these products are household words, like Plenamins, for example. Rexall's famous multivitamin capsules. Just 2 Plenamon capsules a day give you more than your daily minimum requirement of every vitamin for which such requirements have been established, plus valuable liver concentrate and iron. Quality like that is what we family druggists are talking about when we tell you you can depend on any drug product that bears the name Rexall.
Good health to all from Rexall. And now your Rexall family druggist brings you the Phil Harris Alice Faye Show. Written by Ray Singer and Dick Chevrolet with Elliot Lewis, Walter Tetley, Robert North, Janine Roos, Ann Whitfield, Walter Sharp and his music, yours truly, Bill Foreman, and starring Alice Faye and Phil Harris. Thursday was rehearsal day for the Rexall show. The cast was to meet at the NBC studios, and as we look back, we find Alice, Phil, and William standing in front of New York's famous Radio City, waiting for Frankie.
Well, where is Frankie? He's over an hour late.
Oh, that man is impossible. He's probably in some bar room.
Why, Hildegard. What a malicious display of tongue wagging. Remley happens to be attending a temperance meeting.
Now, what's Frankie doing at a temperance meeting?
He's picketing the joint.
Francis hasn't attended a single rehearsal since we've been in New York. Why do you let him get away with it?
Well, he told me he's a very busy man.
Busy doing what?
Well, he's teaching music at Columbia University. He's writing a concerto for muted bassoon. And he's helping the War Department perfect the new H-bomb.
Oh, he is a busy little bee. I'm sure the War Department couldn't get along without Frankie.
What would he know about a new bomb?
Willie, this isn't for publication, but Frankie not only knows about it, he is the bomb. Gee whiz. In the event of war, they fly Remley over enemy territory, and he breathes on the cities.
Oh, now I see what they mean by H-bomb. The H is for hangover.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, this would be a fine country if the War Department had to depend on Francis.
All right, don't knock Frankie. He had a very important job during the last war. Didn't he, honey?
Yes. He was a model at the draft board.
A model at the draft board?
Yes. Anybody who came in and looked like Frankie was automatically rejected.
Why do you two always have to pick on Frankie?
Because he's always doing stupid things.
Just a minute. He ain't stupid. Just happens to have a few idiosyncrasies.
Well, I don't mind his stupidity. In fact, on him it's becoming. I object to his selfishness. He thinks of nobody but himself, and he's always taking advantage of a situation.
That ain't so. It ain't so, because Frankie is very thoughtful. He's always thinking of others. Take this water shortage, for example. Since he's been in New York, he hasn't touched a drop of the stuff.
Seems to me he was that way in California, too.
Yeah, but here he's being civic-minded. The city says save water, and he's been saving it. Why, today he didn't bathe or shave on account of the shortage. He realizes that there are a lot of people in this city who need water and...
Hey, Bud, who you buying your water from?
Frankie.
Oh, it's you, Curly.
Remley, what are you doing? Running a black market on water?
Ah, it's a living. Besides, this ain't black market stuff. This water belongs to me. The city said save it, so I've been saving it ever since I got here. Got a whole bathroom full at the hotel.
All right, Remley, all right.
Sell it in fifths. Shall I put you down for a case, Curly?
No, I don't want any.
If you prefer the imported stuff, I got a shipment coming in from Brooklyn.
Oh, Frankie, you and your wild schemes.
They're not wild. You people are just jealous because I'm a good businessman. I never miss an opportunity to make an honest dollar.
You mean like that shrewd idea you had on the train coming east? The one that almost got us arrested?
What'd he do, Phil?
Well, you remember when the train stopped in Albuquerque?
Yes.
Remley got off and was selling Pullman blankets to the Indians.
Well, maybe that wasn't such a good idea, but I got a deal cooking now, Curly, that I can let you in.
Hold it, Clyde. I ain't interested in none of your new deals.
Okay. But you're missing the opportunity of a lifetime. All it would cost you is $50 and you'll make
I
millions.
don't care how much I can... Millions, huh? Remley, I'm going to take one more listen. Now, tell me something. How can you make $1 million on a $50 investment?
I know a guy.
Wait.
And for $50, he's willing to let us in on the best racket in New York.
What's that?
We can get the gambling concession in the subway.
What gambling concession?
Those slot machines people keep dropping dimes into.
Frankie, what makes you think it's a good investment?
You've seen thousands of people dropping dimes in their machines, haven't you?
Yeah.
And they never paid off once, did they?
True. But how long are people going to be suckers? Maybe we can fix the machines and let them win once in a while.
No, that would be dishonest. Let's leave them the way they are.
For those who have tuned in late, you are listening to It Pays to Be Ignorant. I've heard enough, fellas. Let's get in the elevator and go up to the studio. The band's waiting for me to rehearse my song.
What are you singing, Alice?
Oh, just get in the elevator and listen. Who cares if the sky cares to fall in the sea? Who cares what banks sail in Yonkers? Long as you've got a kiss that conquers. Why should I care? Life is one long jubilee. So long as I care for you and you care for me.
Let it rain and thunder, let a million times go under. We are not concerned with knots and bonds that we've been burned with.
I love you and you love me, and that's how it will always be, and nothing else can ever mean a thing.
Who cares if the public chatters? Love's the only thing that matters.
Who cares
that conquers. Why should I care? Life is one long jubilee. As long as I care for you, and you care for me.
Nice band they had in the elevator.
Bill, why did we get off on the 6th floor? Studio's on the 7th, isn't it?
Please, honey, I'm still working on the elevator band. And don't tell me where the studio is. I know my way around this place.
But, Philip, there are so many studios. It's awfully confusing.
Only to your little twisted mind and cracked voice. You've been playing Remley's part here in New York, haven't you? You better get some sleep, too, kid. Get off at 10th Avenue. I know NBC like a book. Now, this is Studio 6A.
Phil, I don't think this is the right one.
Alice. Poodles. Our partnership is successful because of 3 elements: money, beauty, and brains.
I know, dear. When are you going to contribute something?
I have contributed something. You got the money, I got the brains, and as for the beauty, that's an even split. Now look, fellas, here's the door, so come on, let's get into this studio, huh?
Oh, you're so funny! Oh, you're so clever! Who was that?
They're rehearsing Milton Berle's mother for Tuesday's program.
You know your way around, huh, Curly?
All right, so I made one mistake, Remley, but it must be this studio across the hall.
But, Phil, the sign says on the air.
Pay no attention. Now open the door and let's get in there.
I'm leaving you, Mary.
But you can't leave me, John.
I'm sorry, Mary.
But I love you, John.
It's no use, Mary.
Please, John.
Goodbye, Mary.
Goodbye, John.
Tune in tomorrow for another exciting episode in the lives of Max and Gertrude.
John and Mary must be their nicknames.
Phil, will you please try the 7th floor?
No, I'm not going to try the 7th floor because I'm sure it's on this floor. Now, it must be the studio right next door. Open the door. Let's get in there.
And now, Mrs. B, don't be nervous. Step a little closer to the microphone and tell me your problem.
Well, Mr. Anthony, in 1930, we were having a big party, and our guests were very hungry. So I sent my husband to the grocery to get a loaf of rye bread. That was 20 years ago, and he hasn't come back yet. Now, my problem is this. Should I wait any longer, or is it all right to serve pumpernickel?
Oh, this kid really has a problem.
Convinced that this is the wrong floor?
No, I'm not, because there's one more studio down at the end of the hall.
Well, you try it. I'm going up to the 7th.
Okay, honey. You and Willie go on up there. Guarantee it's here. Frankie and me'll try this one.
I hope you got the right one now, Curly.
Well, we're going to soon find out. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go in through the stage entrance, and then we'll see it.
Very much, Mrs. Grapperhouse. That was very good. And now for our last contestant on Sing It Best. And remember, the contestant who sings it best, in the opinion of our studio audience here, will win our gigantic jackpot. Now I see two gentlemen waiting backstage right now. Come right out here, gentlemen. That's right. Come on now. Oh, don't be bashful. We haven't much time.
Well, we just dropped in to see if we could...
Now, don't be nervous, sir. Just step right up to the microphone. That's it. And face the audience.
Audience? Hey, Curly, they got a show going on here.
Well, then we better get lost, Remley. Get out of here.
Now, just a moment, gentlemen. Don't get panicky. You're just having a little stage fright.
Look, mister, I just want
to... it's a shame the ladies in our radio audience can't see this gentleman. He's a handsome, broad-shouldered, curly-headed rat.
Please, mister, I didn't... Yeah, it is kind of a shame, ain't it?
I wish you could see his curly hair, bronze complexion, and patriotic eyes.
What do you mean, patriotic eyes?
Blue with red whites.
Blue with red whites. Big joke, you see. This boy's been drinking stale Airwick.
With soda, it ain't bad.
All right.
Now, sir, tell me, what's your name and where do you live?
Look, I'm Phil Harris. I'm staying at the New Yorker Hotel.
But the New Yorker, eh? Cloak and suit business, I suppose. Showing your new spring line?
Look, I'm not a cloak and suitor. I happen to be in...
Where are you from?
Well,
Oh, Iowa, huh? You must be in farm implements.
Well, that don't take the tread off my tractor. Hit the nail right on the head, didn't he, son? He sure did, Pa. Now, watch your drawl, boy. We're from Iowa, not from the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Is this your son?
Yes, this is my boy, Rob. Of course, I got two boys. I got Clyde and Rob. But Clyde couldn't make it. He's my oldest boy, you know. I had to stay home. Got a motorcycle agency in Des Moines.
Yeah, that's very interesting, but I just...
He carries a Harley-Davidson line.
I see, yeah.
Yes, Clyde used to be a mechanic. He worked at Claude Creel's garage. Now, Claude's place is on the corner of 8th and Locust. You know, as you come into town, you turn left, and there you'll find a statue of F.W. Fitch. I call him a general. Wasn't a real general. He just used to be my sponsor, and I promised if I ever got on the radio, I'd throw his name in now. After old F.W. was a right fine fellow, wasn't he, son? He sure was, Pa. Rob is my stupid boy. I sure am, Pa. He ain't very smart, but what the heck, I always say it's better than raising pigs. Oink, oink. Quiet, boy, quiet. Now, as I was saying, mister...
Well, I'm sorry, sir, but we don't have time. You're our last contestant. If you're going to sing, we should get on.
Now, wait a minute, son. You can't rush a man from Des Moines now. Did you say sing? Well, I'll be glad to. Yeah. And, mister, you don't know what your audience is in for. They sure don't, Pa. With me to Alabama, let's go see my dear old mammy. She's frying eggs and prawning hammy. That's what I like about the South. Down there you can make no mistakey. Where those nerves are never shaky. Ought to taste that layer cakey. That's what I like about the South. She's got baked ribs and candied yams, those sugar-cured Virginia hams, basement full of those berry jams, and that's what I like about the South. Hot cornbread and black-eyed peas, you can eat as much as you please, cause it's never out of season. That's what I like about the South. Don't take one. Have two, they're dark brown and chocolate too. Suits me, they must suit you, cause that's what I like about the South. Well, it's the way down where the cane grows tall, down where they say you all walk on in with that southern drawl, cause that's what I like about the South. It's down where they have those pretty queens keep a dreaming, those dreamy dreams, let's sip that absolute New Orleans. That's what I like about the South. Come old Bob with all the news, got the box back coat and the button shoes, but he's all caught up with his union dues, and that's what I like about the South. Here come old Roy down the street, oh, can't you hear those scuffling feet? He would rather sleep than eat, and that's what I like about the South. Now every time I pass your door. You act like you don't want me no more. Why don't you shake that head and sigh, and I'll go walking right on by. Go on and on and on. Honey, when you tell me that you love me, then how come you close your eyes? Did I tell you about the place called Do-I-Diddy? It ain't no town, it ain't no city, just awful small, but oh so pretty will do. What? I didn't come here to criticize. I'm not here to sympathize. But don't tell me those no good lies, 'cause a lying gal I do despise. You love me like I love you, send me 50. PDQ, roses are red and violets are pink. I'm gonna get old 50, I don't say. Got backbones of butter beans, ham hocks and turnip greens. You and me and New Orleans, and that's what I like about the South.
Curly, stop taking bows.
Hey, that was very good, Mr. Harris.
Now, come on, Curly. We're over an hour late for the band rehearsal. You know what happens when you keep musicians waiting. They report it to Petrillo, and you know the penalty.
Yep. 20 lashes or 2 weeks with Guy Lombardo.
Tie you to a chair and make you listen to Carmen sing.
No, not coquette. No, let's get out of here, Remy. Come on. Hey, thanks for letting me sing, mister. We'll see you later.
Just a moment, sir. Come back here. Well, fortunately, we know his name and address. Well, ladies and gentlemen, according to our applause meter, Mr. Harris is the winner of our jackpot. And tomorrow morning, $25,000 in merchandise will be delivered right to his room at the Hotel New Yorker, including a refrigerator, a stove, a washing machine.
Phil, you and Frankie were over 2 hours late for rehearsal yesterday. Are you sure you just went into a studio?
I keep telling you that's all that happened. We got into the wrong studio, the people recognized me, and they begged me to sing. Should have heard the hand I got, honey.
They liked you, huh?
Sure did, Mom.
Daddy, when are we going down for breakfast? It's 9:30 already, and I'm hungry.
Now, children, please be quiet.
Let them talk. We paid their fare all the way to New York, and it's about time they said something. Look, kids, we're not going down for breakfast. We're having it served in the room.
Phyllis, did you hear that? We're going to have breakfast in bed.
Naturally, darling. The continental touch, you know. It's considered frightfully she.
Thank you, Noel Coward. Just because we're having breakfast in bed don't mean that we're... Uh-oh, that must be the room service. I'll get it. Now for a nice hot breakfast.
Are you Mr. Harris?
That's right. Have you got our stuff?
Yeah, where do you want us to put this refrigerator?
Refrigerator? Well, you don't have to bring that. All I wanted was a little orange juice and some eggs.
With the refrigerator, you get a 6-month supply of Nesbitt orange juice and 3 crates of grade A eggs.
Well, I just wanted a couple of cooked eggs.
Hey, Bernie, bring in a stove.
What, have I got to cook my own eggs?
Get out of the way, Bud. I got to bring this dishwasher machine in.
Oh, wow. Stop banging into me with that stuff.
Now, just a minute, mister. What is all this?
I got no time to talk. Get out of bed, Blondie, so we'll have someplace to put these eggs in.
Wait a minute now. What paint can?
You want a free paint job, too.
What do you mean I want a...
Ow.
Ooh, what hit me there?
A baby grand piano. Where do you want it?
I don't want no piano. I don't even know how to play the piano.
But you will learn, monsieur. I am your piano teacher, huh? You have me free for a year. Now, this is the scale. It goes...
Wait a minute. Will you wait a minute? I know the scale.
Hey! What color do you want your walls painted?
How about black and blue to match my bruises?
You got it. Joe, start on the black, and I'll paint the blue.
Now, wait a minute. Fellas, will you wait a minute? Now stop that. The room's getting too crowded. Alice, tell him to stop and wait. Alice, where are you?
Right here. Bertie shoved me in the oven.
Oh.
Hey, where do you want these 2 crates?
Wait a minute. Now, what's in those?
Appendix washing machine and a 2-year supply of dirty laundry.
Alice, get out of the oven. You got work to do. Now, look, Frenchie, enough is enough with that piano. I don't want another thing brought in this room, do you hear? Not another thing.
Hi, Mr. Harris. I brought the groceries.
What groceries?
A 4-year supply of dog food. Open your mouth and start eating.
Dog food?
Not only that, but here's a sheepdog to go with it.
Wait a minute. Well, now, look, I don't want it. It's so crowded in here now we can't even budge.
Curly, this must be yours. I found it wandering around the hall with your name on it.
Now, what the heck is that?
A Brahma bull.
Just what I needed, a sacred cow.
Here's something else I found in the hall for you. Where'll I put it?
Careful with that kid. It's breakable.
Now, what was in that?
800 goldfish.
Hey, come on, Julius. There's something in the hall I want you to help me bring in.
Don't bring nothing else in here. This place is a madhouse now.
What's going on here? What's going on? What are you doing to my hotel?
Oh, Phil, it's the hotel manager.
Who is responsible for this outrage?
Hello, Mr. Andrews. Can we cook you some breakfast? Or wash out your undies? How about a piano lesson? Or how about a nice Brahma steak? Oh, I'm only kidding, Elsie. Shut up.
You ruined my hotel. Just look at the mess you've made here. Washing machines, pianos, stoves, cattle.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Andrews.
So what for?
We gotta bring in the airplane.
Airplane?
Contact, Mr. Emily.
Contact.
Switch on.
Switch on.
What's down?
Wait
a minute.
No, this is the last straw. I'm going to call the police and have you all thrown in jail. And take this gun with you.
Now, wait a minute. This ain't our fault. You can't have us thrown in jail. I know my rights, and I'd like to see you try it. Stop that.
Hey, Curly, when Andrews took you to court, you certainly told off that judge.
You said it. I can be pushed just so far, no further.
Daddy, I'm hungry. When can we have breakfast?
Talk to your mother. She has the eggs in the stove in her cell.
Alice and Phil will be back in just a moment. But first, here's your Rexall family druggist.
Last week, a customer said to me,
something I really like about Rexall Milk of Magnesia is that one bottle won't be so thick I can't even pour it, and the next one thin and watery. Somehow, Rexall Milk of Magnesia always seems to be just right.
Well, ma'am, you're talking about the viscosity of Rexall Milk of Magnesia. And the reason it's always the same is because every bottle has to meet Rexall's exacting standard of viscosity, or it won't wear the Rexall label.
Well, how can they make sure of something like that?
Well, a sample from each batch of Rexall Milk of Magnesia is placed in a metal jar or urn. Then a small metal disc attached to a fine precision gauge is submerged just below the surface of the liquid. Now then, the jar is slowly revolved at a constant, carefully regulated speed, and the movement of the liquid pushing the disc around records the exact degree of viscosity or thickness of the sample.
And I thought it was all just an accident.
No, indeed, ma'am. The exacting standard of viscosity for Rexall Milk of Magnesia is one reason why you'll always get a uniform dosage from every bottle. And it's one more reason why we family druggists tell you you can depend on any drug product that bears the name Rexall.
Good health to all from Rexall.
Well, thanks to my brother Willie, we were bailed out of jail. I was never so embarrassed in my life. Where are Frankie and Julius?
Back in jail?
Oh, no. What happened?
What happened? Well, they went back to the hotel to get their luggage, and they got playful. They took 2 elevators and raced each other to see who could get up to the 50th floor first.
What's so terrible about that?
The hotel only has 43 floors.
This program was produced and directed by Paul Phillips. Included in today's cast were Ann Thomas, Gladys Thornton, Ben Brower, John Gibson, Walter Kinsella, Jack Albertson, and Morris Gosfield. The part of Frankie Remley was played by Elliot Lewis, and Julius was played by Walter Tetley. Alice Faye appeared through the courtesy of 20th Century Fox. Everybody's praising it. Antihistamine, the marvelous new miracle drug for colds. And now you can get Rexall antihistamine. Compounded in Rexall's own world-famous laboratories, Rexall antihistamine can stop cold symptoms in 1 day when taken at the very first sign of a cold. Keep Rexall antihistamine on hand always. Ask for it wherever you see the orange and blue Rexall sign on the window. And remember, you can depend on any drug product that bears the name Rexall.
Ezio Pinzer. I am on Theater Guild on the air tonight on NBC.
Jell-O and Jell-O Pudding, starring Jack Benny, with Mary Livingston, Phil Harris, Dennis Day, Rochester, and yours truly, Don Wilson.
See, the combination is right to 45, left to 60, back to 15, and left to 110. There.
Jack Benny entertained us for more than 60 years. Unlike many entertainers, Jack Benny will never be forgotten. For Jack Benny is an American legend.
This is the Jack Benny story, told in part by Jack Benny himself. Produced by American International Productions. Your host and narrator is Tom Reed.
Thank you, Hal Simmons. I'm Executive Director of the Old Time Radio National Archives. And during the next few hours, we will trace the professional career of Jack Benny. We'll hear from Jack himself, his producer Hilliard Marks, Ed Sullivan, and all the characters that made the Jack Benny shows so enduring to all of us. There may be some very young members of our audience who never saw Jack Benny in person, or never heard any of the great radio shows. By the time this tribute to Jack Benny is over, even the young will know why Jack Benny became an entertainment legend in his own time. February 14th. Jack did do movies and television, but he really was at his best in radio. It's as if radio and Jack Benny were meant for each other. I was with Jack just a few months before his untimely death in December 1974. Unfortunately, I had a tape recorder along.
Train leaving on track 5 for Anaheim, Azusa, and Cucamonga. Does anybody want to go to Anaheim, Azusa, or Cucamonga?
This is the Jack Benny story, narrated by Tom Reed.
Finer furniture for finer homes comes from Selden's.
Where quality makes the difference, second best won't do. You'll be impressed when you buy the best, 'cause quality makes the difference.
When you select furniture from Selden's, you know that you're going to have it for a while because it's made to last. Made by the finest manufacturers in the country with an eye to construction, design, and durability. Selden's takes pride in their brand names on the furniture they show, and they take pride in their service, too. The people at Selden's feel that a little extra service just naturally goes with selling the finest. When you match moderate prices at Selden's with the quality and service, you know why so many of the finer homes in this area are served by Selden's, Franklin and Legion Way.
You'll be impressed when you buy the best, 'cause quality makes the difference.
Jack was actually born in a Chicago, Illinois hospital, where his mother was brought for the event. Their home, though, was Waukegan, Illinois. The year was 1894, February 14th. He was born Benny Kubelski, the son of Orthodox Jewish immigrants from Russia. At a very early age, Jack was given two presents by his father, a violin and a monkey wrench. The violin was for if he had any talent, the monkey wrench if he did not. He took to the violin immediately and started taking lessons. Jack was actually considered somewhat of a child prodigy on the fiddle in his hometown at the time. While he was still in grammar school, he had a job as an usher at the local Barrison Theater and soon joined the orchestra there. When he was only 16, Jack and a pianist in the pit of the Barrison Theater teamed up as a vaudeville duo. He hit the road in 1911 in a touring act billed as Salisbury and Benny, from grand opera to ragtime. During those days, Jack would make little side comments during the show, and found to his amazement that the audience laughed. It didn't take him long to discover that his real talent was as a comedian, not a musician. He kept his violin, though, more now as a prop. However, there was another joking violinist around in those days by the name of Ben K. Burney. Benny Kubelski had been calling himself Ben K. Benny. So, to eliminate any confusion, he became Jack Benny. Later, Jack teamed up with a Chicago pianist by the name of Lyman Woods. Shortly after the outbreak of the First World War, Jack enlisted in the Navy and was assigned to the Great Lakes Naval Training Station. Then he was put in the Great Lakes Naval Review, a stage presentation for the Navy Relief Fund for widows and orphans. It was during this show that Jack fully discovered that his humorous asides got more audience response than his musical selections. It was an important milestone in Jack's life because it marked him as a man who could talk as well as fiddle. After the war, Jack returned to vaudeville, but now as a comedian with a violin mostly as a prop. He was so successful that soon he appeared in several big musicals for the Schuberts and Earl Carroll's Vanities on Broadway. A roadshow tour took Jack Benny to Los Angeles. Two important things happened to Jack there. First, his act was caught by Harry Rath of MGM, and Jack was signed to a long-term contract, 2 pictures a year at $1,500 a week. Now, that was a lot of money in January of 1927. His first picture was just after the talkies had come in, and Jack was used as a stand-up comedian. The studio put him into the Hollywood Review of 1929 in a sketch, and in Chasing Rainbows in 1930 as a stage manager. Due to his film success, he was a smash hit at the London Palladium and in New York. MGM, on the other hand, had no plans for him, so Jack asked for his release and returned east to vaudeville and Broadway musicals. Hilliard Marks, who later became Jack's close friend, writer and producer of his radio and TV shows, first ran into Jack in those early Hollywood movie days.
I went over one day and this third assistant director's job was open, and it was on Riff Raff. I had just finished The Tale of Two Cities, and it was Riff Raff with Jean Harlow and Una Merkel and Spencer Tracy. And we were shooting, it was exteriors, and most of the film was shot on Terminal Island. It was a bit about the canneries and such, if you remember. And then I gave Jack material, and that's really how I started.
Was there any thought in your mind then, when you first met Jack Benny, that you later would be working for him?
No, not really. He had two writers, Bill Morrow and Ed Beloin, and very fine, competent writers, great writers. In fact, Bill Morrow went on to write for Bing Crosby after he left Jack. And Ed Beloin went into motion pictures and was quite active on screenplays. And I only worked for Jack a short time, and then I went into the Air Force.
Leaving on track 5 for Anaheim, Azusa, and Cucamonga. Oh, come on, somebody must want to go to Anaheim.
You're listening to the Jack Benny Story, narrated by Tom Reed.
Marble Elegance Imports brings you weather reports daily. That special day for lovers is coming.
My funny Valentine.
And for your special lover, Marble Elegance Imports has a wide variety of very special things to say I love you in a way that is so unique. Stop at Marble Elegance Imports and browse through their selection of gifts fashioned from marble in styling as timeless as the stone itself. Marble lamp bases, tabletops, desk accessories, flower bowls and bud vases, pastry slabs. Choose from a large collection of genuine jade jewelry, earrings, necklaces, bracelets, pendants, all artistically fashioned to enhance the beauty of the wearer. Marble Elegance Imports suggests paintings, soapstone carvings, oriental screens, or brass pieces from the Far East. For your Valentine, there's something that will truly please the heart at Marble Elegance Imports, 5826 Pacific in Lacey. Stop in today.
Are you small?
The second important thing that happened to Jack Benny in Hollywood in the late 1920s was meeting a younger sister of a vaudevillian named Al Bernovici. Her name was Sadie Marks. She disliked show business and was selling hosiery in a Los Angeles department store, the May Company, when Jack first met her. In January of 1927, Jack Benny married Sadie Marks in his hometown of Waukegan, Illinois. Her stage name became Mary Livingston. Years later, Jack did a skit with Mary in a department store setting to demonstrate how he met her.
Where I go.
Hello, kiddo. Where have you been all my life?
Avoiding her.
You're good. I like my tomatoes with a little spice. Tell me, baby, what's your name?
Mary.
Mary what? Quite contrary? Oh, you beautiful doll. What's your full name?
Look, mister, my name is Mary Livingston. I was born in Plainfield, New Jersey. I know I should be in pictures, but I'm very happy here at the May Company. Now, what do you want?
Wait a minute, baby. Wait a minute. You got me all wrong. No, Mary, I'm not trying to
These
get
stockings
fresh.
seem to be all right. I hope they're going to be strong enough. Let me see.
Hey, you get a lot of strange customers around here, don't you?
Aw, you're just self-conscious.
Mary Livingston may not have met Jack in exactly that way, but it made good script material, and their banter built some of Jack's funniest radio scripts. Everything Jack Benny had done to this time might have been good entertainment, but would never have made him an entertainment legend. His biggest triumph was radio. The new medium was just getting going in the early 1930s. Jack saw that other comedians were already on radio, such as Eddie Cantor, Burns and Allen, and others. He knew radio would be big, and he also had the foresight to move into the medium that was biggest at the time. That ability to change with the times never left him, and was largely responsible for his more than 60 years as a headliner in American entertainment. Yes, Jack Benny knew radio would be the medium of the future, and he had to find a way to get into it. Producer, Hilliard Marks.
And it all began when he was on Ed Sullivan's show. Ed Sullivan was a sports writer. And he asked Jack to appear as a guest. And Jack's opening line was, "This is Jack Benny speaking," and as if anyone would care, or who cares. And there was someone from the advertising agency thought he would be great to have a show, and it was Canada Dry, his first sponsor, but that was only in the East.
The last time I was with Jack, shortly before his death, I asked him if he agreed with the stories about Ed Sullivan giving him his start.
Yes, because I had quit a big show. I was on the road with Earl Carroll's Vanities, and I realized that radio was a thing to get into. So I got a release from the show, from Earl Carroll. And I told him the reason. I said, I want to try and get into radio. And so I was in New York for a couple of weeks, waiting for the opportunity to get into radio. This was in 1931 or 32. And finally, Ed Sullivan saw me or called me or something, asked me if I'd go on a show with him, because he was doing a sports show, sport news on radio. And I said, all right, what do we do? Oh, he said, we'll just talk about sports. I'll ask you some questions about your business. You ask me some questions, we'll talk. So I went on, and the next morning I had a call to be on my very first radio show. So even though I probably would have gotten into radio anything, because you have to, anyway, because you have to get in to whatever is important at the time.
Leaving on track 5 for Anaheim, Azusa, and Cucamonga. Look, we're not asking much. 2 of you, or even 1 of you. Just somebody to keep the engineer company.
This is the story of Jack Benny, narrated by Tom Reed.
A couple of weeks ago, a train pulled in, not stopping at Anaheim, Azusa, or Cucamonga. It pulled into Olympia with a trainload of General Electric appliances for Olympia Appliance Center. Since then, they've been offering extra special prices on GE refrigerators, washers, dryers, dishwashers, compactors, and disposers. The 4 remaining GE school ranges are very specially priced. Olympia Appliance Center needs good trade-ins, and so they're offering up to $100 for late-model refrigerators or late-model washers and dryers in operating condition, and up to $50 on used ranges. Olympia Appliance Center not only offers you the best values in town, but they'll give you free delivery and complete warranty service. They've served the Olympia area for over 22 years with value and service. See the crew at Olympia Appliance Center during this wind-up of the big GE train load sale. All aboard!
30 years after his introduction on Ed Sullivan's show, Ed asked Jack back. April of 1967. Ed Sullivan.
Ladies and gentlemen, 35 years ago, I was doing a radio show on CBS here in New York, and I asked a very good friend of mine, Jack Benny, to be a guest on my program. And Jack proved to be such a terrific hit that CBS immediately signed him for radio. Now, the rest is history, and here Jack Benny is to celebrate the 35th anniversary of that original date. My friend and your friend, Jack Benny. So let's bring him on.
You can leave now. I'm going to work alone. That was a nice introduction, but, ladies and gentlemen, everything that Ed Sullivan said about me during the introduction is true. I mean, 35 years ago, Ed Sullivan had a radio show, and I appeared on it as a guest. And because of my appearance, I got my own radio show, and it led into pictures and everything else. So whatever success I've enjoyed, I just want you to know that it's due to Ed Sullivan. I'm really thankful to Ed, but you want to know something? He has never let me forget it. I've been on this show at least a dozen times, and I've yet to get paid. Every time I ask him for money, he says, Jack, Look what I did for you. Without me, you'd be nothing. Now, I'll tell you how I happen to be here tonight. About a week ago, I was in New York, and I ran into Sullivan, and he asked me to be on his show tonight, April 30th. So I said, all right, Ed, I'll be glad to. Now, how much money do I get? And he said, nothing. And I said, again, nothing? He said, Jack, you keep forgetting what I did for you. But I said, Ed, that was 35 years ago. How long do I have to be in bondage? You know, it's Passover. We're celebrating the Exodus. And he said, Jack, that's my offer. Take it or leave it. Then he raised his hand. The traffic parted, and we walked across the street. I still can't get a dime. Oh, before, and I want to do something, ladies and gentlemen, that has never been done in this theater before. I'd like to introduce somebody from the audience. I'd like to have you meet my wife, Mary Bird, who is sitting right there in the audience, and have her take a bow. Glad that she stood up and waved because that makes her dress and the glove on her right hand deductible. Well, anyway, yes, Ed.
Wait a minute, Jack. Hold it. Please hold it.
What is it?
Well, I don't like the tone that this thing is taking. I don't mind what you say about me, but it's my job. Don't you understand, Jack? You introduce Mary, I introduce people to our audience.
You introduce football players, man.
This is the Jack Benny Story, narrated by Tom Reed.
Weather reports are brought to you daily by Greg's Fireplace Shop. You know, when you buy a fireplace at Greg's Fireplace Shop and you have it installed in your home, you're getting a lot more than a fireplace. You're getting the tantalizing smell of fresh popcorn popped the way it was meant to be popped over an open fire. You're getting the laughter of a child toasting a marshmallow. You're getting the soft purr of a warm kitten curled up on the hearth. You're getting that special warmth for your body and heart that comes only from a fireplace. The crackle of the fire on a winter's night, the soft glow of the embers as your day comes to an end. That special point in the room where friends come closer together. If you're not getting all this and more, then maybe you should be getting to Greg's Fireplace Shop, 4646 Pacific in Lacey. They're full of hearth-warming ideas.
Jack's talents were perfect for radio. Sponsors were not hard to find. After Canada Dry, there was Chevrolet and General Tire. But his association with Jell-O desserts is the classic one. His opening comment was often, Jell-O again, this is Jack Benny.
Jell-O program coming to you from Radio City, New York, starring Jack Benny with Mary Livingston, Phil Harris, Kenny Baker, and yours truly, Don Wilson. The orchestra opens the program with For No Rhyme or Reason. To New York, from Maine to Texas, every home has one common problem, and that's meal planning. You want to keep the family happy. You want to keep their appetites interested. Well, there's where Jell-O is a great big help. Jell-O is one dessert the family always likes because, first of all, there are so many different ways to serve it. With fruits or nuts or whipped cream molded in shimmering layers of 2 and 3 lovely colors, or just served perfectly plain. A grand dessert any time. And second, and most important, Jell-O tastes so delicious. It's a new treat every time. For Jell-O brings you that extra rich fruit flavor. A wonderful real fruit goodness that makes every Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome to New York that little ray of California sunshine. That shivering, quivering, ice-kissed comedian, Jack Benny.
Hello again. This is Jack Benny coming to you through a suit of long underwear. And, Don, it's sure great to be back in New York again, but, boy, this cold weather is really too much for me.
Oh, Jack, I'll admit it has been pretty cold, but it's certainly much warmer today.
I know that, Don, but I defrost very slowly. You know, coming from California, my blood happens to be thin, but there is of it. Oh, I can hardly stand it.
I know how you feel, Jack. After the sun goes down, it does get pretty frigid.
Frigid? Why, Don, the other night I slept under 6 blankets. I felt like the bottom wheat cake. Cold or no cold, it's good to be back in old Manhattan. Huh?
Well, tell me, Jack, you've been in town now since Thursday. What have you been doing with yourself?
Oh, I've had a lot of fun, Don. I saw some shows, went to a couple of nightclubs, and last night I was invited over to Fred Allen's apartment for dinner.
Oh, Fred Allen, huh?
Yeah, he and I are pretty good friends now, you know.
Well, I'm glad to hear it. Has Fred got a nice apartment?
Oh, how could I tell, Don, with all that laundry hanging in the living room? But, Don, you should have seen the meal he put on. Now, you know me, Don. I mean, you know, now I don't want to sound catty. But after all, how often do I come to New York? Maybe once a year. Well, you think he could have had sardines some other night?
Sardines?
I wouldn't have liked them if he'd opened them with the key to the city. I got even with him, though. When I left, I took 3 spoons back to the automat. Where till he finds that out.
Gee, it doesn't seem possible that Fred would invite you to dinner and serve that kind of a meal.
Well, he did. And wait a minute. Here's the payoff. No, the only ones there were Fred, Portland, Mary, and myself. And when we got through eating, Fred asked me to get up and make an after-dinner speech.
An after-dinner speech? What was that for?
Well, he was hoping I'd say something that he could use on his program next Wednesday. You know.
Oh, I get it.
I fooled him, though. I got up and recited the Gettysburg Address in French. Let him use that. Anyway, Fred and I are friends now. I'm not going to start running him down.
Running him down? What have you been doing up till now?
Well, oh, it's you, Phil. Well, welcome to New York.
You're listening to The Jack Benny Story, narrated by Tom Reed.
Finer carpeting for finer homes comes from Selden's.
Where quality makes the difference, second best won't do. You'll be impressed when you buy the best, 'cause quality makes the difference.
When it comes to carpeting for your home, there's no substitute for quality. The kind of quality that makes up the wide carpet selection at Selden's. Selden selects their stock from the leading carpet mills in the nation. This is carpeting that will be beautiful for years and years because it was made to be. Whether you're carpeting a room or a whole house, you want the finest. And for that, you make your selection where moderate pricing, quality, and service are the main reasons so many of the finer homes in this area are served by Selden's, Franklin and Legion Way.
You'll be impressed when you buy the best, 'cause quality makes the difference.
What is electricity? Just this. Electricity is a manufactured product using natural resources such as coal, gas, oil, water, and uranium as raw materials. And as such, we must be concerned about the many facets of these related resources. About the need for offshore oil drilling, the tapping of new natural gas reserves, about providing a greater consumption of coal, and about breaking through technical barriers in shale oil and coal gasification. We must work for increased research into geothermal, solar, and nuclear technologies. We must look at the total picture of the energy problem, for it is not an isolated phenomenon, the creation of electricity. It is the total picture which will bring us the results we all desire. Clean, safe sources of electricity for today and for tomorrow. This message courtesy of the National Electrical Contractors Association.
We'll have more of the Jack Benny story right after the news. The time is 2:30. Stay tuned.
Here's the latest worldwide news from the American Entertainment Network. John Cameron reporting. The Arab League's boycott office began a 10-day meeting in Cairo today, and the man who runs it, Mohammed Magoob, called for a tightening of the rules to make it easier to get on the list and harder to get off. The boycott office has had a flood of requests from Western business firms which say they'll stop doing business with Israel if they can get off the Arab boycott list and trade with the oil-rich Arab countries. Undersecretary of State Joseph Sisko, who holds the Middle East desk in the department, thinks there will be no war this year in the Middle East. In fact, in Washington, Sisko says there may be an interim agreement between Israel and Egypt.
I am still hopeful that we can make progress on a step-by-step basis, and I do not believe that the processes of diplomacy have been exhausted, and moreover, as I read the area, and I've now spent as many as 4 months of the last 12 in the Middle East, I think both sides are sick and tired of war, and I think the diplomatic process that we're seeing is a reflection of the desire of both sides to try to get something done.
Sisko says there can be no long-term peace in the Middle East without the cooperation of the Soviet Union. Sisko was on Meet the Press on NBC. A magazine in Cairo says Russia and the United States have agreed to reconvene the Geneva talks on the Middle East in April. And now this.
My dad had given him some gum, and I pulled my father aside and said, I'd appreciate it if you wouldn't do that. And he mentioned that it was Trident, which I had never heard of. And we tried it and liked it.
Carolyn Cohen of Rockville, Maryland, talks about her son and Trident sugarless gum.
With Trident, it was just like chewing another chewing gum. The fact that it's sugarless was kind of an extra bonus, although that's why I bought it.
Well, 4 out of 5 dentists surveyed recommend sugarless gum for their patients who chew gum.
It's almost like a badge of how well I handle my family.
Trident, for families who care about their teeth. You're in business. You don't need us to tell you ad costs are rising. It's called adflation. But maybe you do need us to remind you there's one medium not soaring in price. One medium that relies more on creativity than dollars for production. One medium that moves quickly. You're listening to it now, and so are your customers. Virtually everyone listens to radio every week, averaging over 3 hours a day. Call this station. We'll suggest ways radio can help you fight adflation. Furnished by Radio Advertising Bureau.
A tornado hit a motel and restaurant in Tuscaloosa, Alabama today. First reports say 1 person is dead, at least 50 others hurt, and damage heavy. In Oklahoma, hundreds of people are homeless because of the tornadoes that hit early yesterday. In Duncan, in southwestern Oklahoma, 3,900 homes were battered badly enough so that the people who live there have had to find someplace else to stay for now. 2 newspapers in London say Britain is ready to take over the Chrysler subsidiary there if Chrysler decides to stop making cars in Britain. In Detroit, Chrysler says it has no plans to shut down the British operation. ABC's Jerry Stanicki reports.
Officials at Chrysler here in Detroit tell me they don't understand why the story. Just a few days ago, Board Chairman Lynn Townsend strongly stated Chrysler intends to stay in Britain and continue building cars. Townsend says the British operation as well as the U.S. operations will be trimmed to become profitable. And Chrysler President John Ricardo stated in his letter to Anthony Benn, a letter that Benn asked to be made public and Chrysler said okay, that they do intend to stay in Britain. Jerry Stanicki, ABC News, Detroit.
Chrysler has put its workers in Britain on a 3-day work week. The U.S. Army spraying operation against blackbirds around Hopkinsville, Kentucky last week killed hundreds of thousands of the birds, but that was barely a dent in the flock of up to 10 million. The director of the Kentucky Animal Disease Laboratory in Hopkinsville, Dr. Wade Cadle, tells ABC News, there's hardly such a thing as overkill when it comes to the blackbirds.
We've had this problem for 6 or 7 years now, and I expect that the roost will be repopulated again next year. Therefore, we must apply Turgitol again and again and again.
Dr. Cadle says Turgitol should be sprayed to kill the blackbirds in the fall and winter every year for as long as he can foresee before the birds go north for the summer and replenish their numbers. This is ABC News.
your hometown station in Olympia.
KIBM.
Hey, that's a beautiful chess set. Where did you get it?
Marble Elegance Imports.
What's it made of? That's not marble.
Yeah, it's soapstone. It was carved in the Orient.
Clever people, those Orientals.
Not as clever as me. I got a 10% discount on that set. I also got a 10% discount on that painting and that Oriental screen.
How did you get a 10% discount?
Well, about a month ago, a plastic telephone book cover was delivered in the mail, and inside were coupons. Instead of throwing them away, I used them. Clever?
Oh, yeah, very clever, but what are all these other discount coupons?
Oh, they're the ones I'm going to use to buy some other nice things for my home or the office at Marble Elegance Imports.
You mean you got all these coupons in that one phone book cover?
Oh, no. These coupons I got from my friends.
They gave them to you?
I should say not. I had to bargain for them. I had to trade.
What did you trade?
Slugs to use in my bubblegum machine.
Jack Benny would have loved you.
Yes, and Jack Benny would have loved saving 10% at Marble Elegance Imports, 5826 Pacific in Lacey.
Jack developed his own radio format, a combination comedy, variety, continuity show, a program which definitely established characters who were looked for each week and established situations which have cumulative comedy value. Jack was one of the first to kid his sponsors and was definitely the first comedian who played straight for other people on the show, who had laughs turned on himself as often, if not much oftener, than he'd turn them on others. Then he became the lovable boob, the man with human frailties, a person that the listener could associate with. All the characters on the radio show were also created so as to be able to relate to real people. This is the way Jack wanted it, and it worked superbly.
I played a character that included all the faults and the frailties, I think that's the right word, the frailties of mankind. See, every family had somebody like me. Either they had an uncle who was stingy, or one who thought he was very sexy and he wasn't. So every family has that kind of a person. The different characterizations, we made Phil Harris a sort of a smart alecky guy. He either left a pool room or a bar or a girl.
Well, that's about all I can take. I'm going to the bar and start warming up for New Year's Day.
When Dennis came in, you knew he was always vague about something.
Now, let's go in the other room.
Say, Mr. Benny.
What?
You see this tie I'm wearing? My girl knitted it for me for Christmas.
The tie? What are those things hanging on the side?
She started to make a sweater and changed her mind.
Mary always sort of ran my life, even though she wasn't supposedly married to me.
I'm in my late 30s, or my early 40s.
You were in your early 40s or the gay 90s.
And I would see to it that the material I gave them almost fit their characters personally, and particularly their speaking voices.
Frank Morgan played one of the Benny characters, the department store floor walker. Frank enjoyed working with Jack because he did let others get laughs too.
You will read a Jack Benny script and read Jack's lines. You would find he had nothing in the way of jokes. He gave all his jokes to his people who surrounded him. He built on the people that worked with him, which was a very lovely thing. And it showed a great security because I've worked with comedians who, if you had a good joke, when you came back for the show, they had the joke, and you didn't have it anymore. But Jack never did anything like that, and I think that's one of the things that made his comedy different than other comedy. Oh, mister. Pardon me, are you the floor walker here?
Well, what do you think I am with this carnation? Afloat in the Rose Parade?
Always running. How can you keep a job as a floor walker?
My father owns the store.
Oh, and you're working your way up.
I know. I started as president.
The unforgettable Frank Morgan as the department store floor walker. Jack worked hard in those early radio days to develop a different comedy format for his show. Something that would be unique for its day. Hilliard Marks.
He did not want to do a half-hour comedy show per se. he wanted it broken up into 3 spots, where he would open, and then you'd have an orchestra, then you'd have another spot, and then you'd have a singer, and then you'd have your closing spot, which would be undoubtedly a sketch. And his first writer was Harry Kahn, who was a very fine writer. And it's amazing that he would write this show. Harry would, all by himself, of course with the help of Jack, sitting in on it. But that was the beginning of the 3-spot radio shows that followed, the comedy show. He set a precedent. And Jack has always more or less established and set a precedent for those that followed.
This is the story of Jack Benny, narrated by Tom Reed.
Weather reports are brought to you daily by Greg's Fireplace Shop. You know, having a fireplace in your home is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Let's take it a step at a time. First of all, you pick where you want it. Now, that's step 1. Next, you go to Greg's Fireplace Shop. That's step 2. At Greg's Fireplace Shop, you pick out the fireplace you want. It can be a freestanding fireplace, a built-in fireplace, or a decorative wall-mounted fireplace. Now, these are not just decorator items. They burn anything you want to burn. And don't get the idea that they all look alike. There is a choice so wide at Greg's Fireplace Shop that you can pick a fireplace that looks like it was meant only for your home. Step 3 is installation. Now, you can do it, or you can have Greg's Fireplace Shop do it. You see, having a fireplace is as simple as 1, 2, 3 at Greg's Fireplace Shop, 4646 Pacific in Lacey. They're full of heartwarming ideas.
The early basic radio show format that Jack developed stayed with him for years. But there were some changes in personnel over the years. As Hilliard Marks recalls, Phil Harris was not the early orchestra leader. It was Ted Weems. Announcer Don Wilson joined the Benny show in the early days and stayed with Jack through TV to the very end.
Don was from KOA in Denver.
Was Don just a local station announcer at that time?
Yes. And then he had Don Bester as the orchestra leader instead of Ted Weems, and Don Bester was very fastidious in his dress. And one day at that time, at that period, the men wore spats. And when the writers took one look at him, and that was the beginning of Don Bester with the spats. And then we would use Abe Lyman every now and then when we'd go east, and Abe Lyman was fabulous, but Abe Lyman had started as a cab driver in Chicago, and he never lost the vocabulary of a cab driver. This was the dearest, sweetest man you've ever met, but he was constantly putting Jack down. And then we had Andy Devine, and I remember that at that time I was writing, and of course Andy Devine with a frog in his throat, and he defended Jack, and I remember one line we had, he said, where Abe Lyman said to Andy Devine, one more word out of you and I'll clear your throat. So that gives you an example as to the knowledge about, as to what Abe Lyman was like.
Jack Benny's theme song was called Love in Bloom. When I asked him about it, he said he really didn't like it.
Because it has nothing to do with the comedian at all. It happened to be a number that I kept playing on the violin for a few weeks, not dreaming it was ever going to be my theme song. And all of a sudden I'd walk into nightclubs or restaurants, and the orchestras there would start playing Love in Bloom. So they made it my theme song, practically against my will. There was no way I could stop it. So I left it that way. But it isn't, it's a beautiful song, but it doesn't fit a comedian. But I couldn't do anything about it.
Back in the 1920s and 30s, this is the way Jack Benny's theme song sounded, the way it was being played in those days.
Blue night. You alone with me, my heart has never known such ecstasy. I'm on earth, magic perfume. Oh no, it isn't the thrill, it's love in bloom. Can it be the spring that seems to bring the stars right into my room? Oh no, it isn't the spring, it's love in bloom. My heart was a desert, you planted a seed, and this is the flower, this hour of sweet fulfillment. Is it all a dream, the joy supreme that came to us in the gloom? You know it isn't a dream, it's love in bloom.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dennis Day.
Dennis Day is brought to you by Colgate Dental Cream and Luster Cream Shampoo. Colgate Dental Cream, to clean your breath while you clean your teeth. Luster Cream, the cream shampoo for true hair loveliness.
The Dennis Day Show with Barbara Eiler, Bea Benaderet, Dink Trout, John Brown, Charles Dant and the orchestra, and yours truly, Vern Smith, is written by Frank Galen and stars our popular young singer in A Day in the Life of Dennis Day. Here's Dennis to sing A Feudin' and a Fightin'.
Dagnammit, here we go again, Ma. Feudin' and fussin' and a fightin'. Sometimes it gets to be excitin'. Don't like them ornery neighbors down by the creek. We'll be plumb out of neighbors next week. Grandma, poor old Grandma, why'd I have to shoot poor Grandma? She lies neath the clover. Someone caught her bending over, picking up a daisy, feudin' and fussin' and a fightin'. Taking my heart, I love you. This is a wrong that needs a rightin'. Let's get that funeral service over, so then we can start in a feudin' again. You must remember this: a kiss is just a kiss, a sigh is just a sigh as time goes by. Daughter, baby daughter, oh, she poisoned all the neighbors' chickens. Now, daughter, she had an otter, at least till she could run like the Dickens. They hit her with a shovel, feudin' and fightin' and a fussin'. No use a standing here a cussin'. Let's give our daughter a pistol now that she's 4 and go feudin' and fightin' some more. Oh, they got me.
Famous beauty authority Kay Dumas sends all women her secret of true hair loveliness.
For the shining hair that men love, discover that touch of magic, Luster Cream Shampoo. Discover the remarkable way Luster Cream Shampoo makes hair gleam with natural highlights and shadows, sparkle with silken softness, delight with clean fragrance. Not a soap, not a liquid, Luster Cream Shampoo is an amazing new dainty cream that whips up luxurious lather like magic in hard or soft water and sweeps dullness away. Out of her wealth of cosmetic lore, Kay Dumet blended gentle lanolin with special secret ingredients to achieve this revolutionary new cream that brings out the rich, natural beauty of your hair, leaves it obedient to brush and comb. Try that economical dollar jar of Luster Cream Shampoo sold at all cosmetic counters, also 30-cent and 55-cent sizes. And learn what more and more women of all ages are learning every day, the way to new glamour with Luster Cream, the cream shampoo for true hair loveliness. And now, once again, we bring you a day in the life of Dennis Day, the story of a lovable young boy and his uphill struggle to become average. Last June, as you may remember, Dennis's boss, Mr. Willoughby, decided to close his store during July and August, thus forcing our young hero to spend the summer back home with his folks. So it's been 2 months since anyone in Weaverville has seen him. Have you missed your employee, Mr. Willoughby?
Missed him?
Yes.
Dennis?
Yes. Oh, now, Mr. Willoughby, I'm sure that attitude isn't true of the folks over at the Anderson boarding house, especially his girlfriend, Mildred. Is it, Mildred?
It certainly isn't. Dennis is a perfect darling. My mother and a lot of other people in this town think he hasn't much sense and no initiative or ambition. Well, they're the ones who never tried loving him and are just willing to sit back and rely on evidence.
Oh, I take it then that your mother doesn't quite approve of your boyfriend. Is that right, Mrs. Anderson?
Let's put it this way. I'm a woman who has always followed the policy of live and let live. But in Dennis's case, I'm willing to make an exception.
Oh, my. I'm sure your husband doesn't feel that way, Mrs. Anderson. Do you, Mr. Anderson?
Do you, Herbert?
I can express my opinion in just 2 words. The same 2 words I express all my opinions with. Yes, Poopsie.
I see. Well, I'm sure our young hero is fully aware of these conflicting opinions, and tonight as he walks down Elm Street from the bus depot to rejoin the Andersons, it must comfort him to know that at least his girlfriend, Mildred... Hey, wait a minute. What is this sight that greets his eyes on the darkened porch of the Anderson house? 2 figures very close together. One indisputably Mildred, and the other a man, a strange man. The figures get even closer together, then separate. One leaves, the other stays. Galvanized into action, our hero sprints forward and dashes up the steps.
Mildred Anderson.
Dennis!
So, you're just like the rest of your sex. Whenever a fella comes home and finds someone in the arms of a man, it's always a woman.
Now, look, Dennis.
I saw you with your arm around him.
But, Dennis.
And he had his arm around you.
But, Dennis.
And your lips were puckered.
Dennis.
Don't you know you could get kissed that way?
Dennis, stop being silly.
Silly? That's just how it happens. I know from personal hearsay.
Dennis, if you'd only let me explain.
Ha!
Here I've been counting the days till you'd come back.
You didn't have to call in someone to count with you. Who is this fellow? How long have you been friends?
3 days.
So, that's the kind he is. I might have guessed.
Well, what do you mean?
Only known you 3 days and already he's letting you kiss him. That!
Letting? Now, look, he kissed me, and I didn't let him. He just turned around and did it before I could stop him.
A likely story, my good woman. Just remember that 2 can play at that game. I mean, besides the 2 who are playing it already.
Dennis, honestly, Mr. Stewart means nothing to me. He's just the producer of the Summer Stock Company that's been playing in town. I was only talking to him on account of Mother.
Oh, sure.
But it's true. Don't you trust your own fiancé?
Our fiancé-ship is at an end, Mildred. I bid you good night.
What?
You heard me, and I'll thank you to return my boy ranger badge in the morning.
Dennis, you can't mean that.
All I can say is that it's a lucky thing I found this out before we were married. Otherwise, it would have been a lot more difficult to break our engagement.
But, Dennis, I told you the truth.
I have spoken, Mildred.
Dennis, you're crazy. Even if it were like you thought, surely you'd give me another chance.
No, Mildred. No woman's going to two-time me 2 times. Good night.
Dennis! Oh, golly, of all the awful things to happen. Darn that Mr. Stewart, anyhow. If I ever get my hands on him...
Mildred, what on earth's wrong with Dennis? He walked right past me without even saying hello.
Oh, it's that darn summer theater director, Mr. Stewart. He pretended he was showing me a scene, and then he tried to kiss me, and Dennis saw him.
Mr. Stewart? Oh, Mildred, did you ask him about me?
Mother, Dennis and I have split up. Don't you even care?
Oh, yes, of course. Inwardly, I'm a mess, but life must go on. What did he say about me?
If it's any satisfaction to you, he said you could take Mrs. Green's place. You'll be Lady Macbeth on opening night.
Oh, Mildred, how perfectly wonderful.
Wonderful? How can you stand there and say anything's wonderful? I've lost my Dennis forever. What am I going to do?
Now, darling, don't you worry. We'll stop by Robinson's pet shop first thing in the morning and buy you a Cocker Spaniel.
Dennis, it's me, Herbert Anderson.
Oh, come in, Mr. Anderson.
I just thought I'd drop in and welcome you to... Why, Dennis, you haven't even unpacked.
I'm not going to, Mr. Anderson. I'm leaving this place.
Leaving? Why?
Mr. Anderson, suppose you came home suddenly one night and found someone kissing your wife.
Someone with a will of iron, you mean?
Yes, sir. Well, that's what happened to me.
Really? Well, still, I don't see why you should leave just because you caught someone kissing my wife.
It wasn't your wife. It was Mildred.
Mildred? You caught Mildred doing a thing like that?
Yes, sir. Hugging and kissing a man in cold blood. I feel pretty bad, Mr. Anderson. I was looking forward to marriage. It's kind of hard to give up my dreams.
Yes, I know, Dennis. And I'm truly sorry. Is there anything I can do?
No, sir. It's nice of you, but I want Mildred or nothing.
Oh, no. I mean, is there anything I can do to help? After all, you can't just give up, you know.
Huh?
Well, you're going to put up a fight for her, aren't you? Where's your masculinity? Where's your virility? You've got the same amount I have, haven't you?
Yes, sir. I guess I'm dead.
Oh, nonsense. Don't you suppose I had a rival for Pupsy's hand? But did I stand idly by? No. I got in there and fought like a tiger.
Gee, and you were the victor, huh?
Well, it certainly looked like it at that time, yes.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Now, who is this rival of yours?
Well, I think his name is Stewart.
The fellow who's putting Macbeth on in the summer theater? Why, he's only been in town for a couple of days.
I know. I guess he's just easy to love.
Yeah. Well, we've got to get rid of him.
Well, I suppose he'll leave when the play closes, but that may be too late.
Yes, I'm afraid you're... Well, now, wait a minute. Suppose the play closed after one performance. That wouldn't be too late.
But why would it close so soon?
Well, what if the Critic and the Daily Bugle gave the show a terrible panning?
But suppose the critic likes the play.
He wouldn't if we had our own critic doing the job.
Huh?
Look, suppose a big movie actor came to town and offered the present critic a swell job in Hollywood. He'd go, wouldn't he?
I suppose he would.
Then there's your answer.
That's my answer?
Sure.
Maybe I'd better hear the question again.
Well, don't you see, Dennis? Now, look, you're good at imitations. You can impersonate the star. We'll bundle you up in a muffler, you can wear dark glasses, and the critic will be fooled by the voice.
Gee, and then when we've got him out of town, I could write the criticism myself. Say, it might work at that.
Of course. Now, what movie star can you be?
Well, how about...
Come on, Nellie. What's the matter? You crazy or something?
Oh, no. Somebody who's more dramatic.
Oh, well, maybe...
Racing with the moon, high above the midnight blue.
No, not that dramatic. No. Besides, they aren't real actors. Now, couldn't you be a real picture star?
How about Betty Grable?
Dennis, all we have to work with is a muffler and dark glasses.
Yeah, that's right. I was thinking of wearing a bathing suit, but he might spot me.
Very possible. Now, I'll tell you what you do. You think of somebody overnight. I'll be down to Willoughby's store tomorrow to pick you up, and we'll call on this critic together.
Okay. Let's see now. That's my boy who said that. Umbriago.
No. Hetty, you are so lovely, Hetty.
No. And my sweetie face gave me a great big beautiful bird book. Morning, Mr. Willoughby.
Good morning, Dennis.
Well, here I am. Did you remember this is the day I was to come back to work?
Certainly. Can't you see I'm wearing a black tie?
Gee, you don't change much, do you, Mr. Willoughby?
No. Well, get to work, my boy. I'll phone the insurance company and tell them you're back and they can raise our rates.
Oh, yes, sir.
As a matter of fact, you'll be in charge of the store today. I have to leave in a few minutes for the summer theater rehearsal.
The summer theater? You mean the one that's putting on Macbeth tonight?
Uh-huh. Haven't you heard? I'm one of the play's principal backers.
You've put money into it?
$500. What's the matter? Haven't you ever heard of a businessman becoming an angel?
Yes, sir. I may make it before you do.
What are you talking about?
Mr. Willoughby, let me ask you a purely hypothetical question. If a certain person who shall be nameless was instrumental in your losing money, what would you do?
I'd fire you in a minute.
Oh, well, in that case, I must ask you another question. If you had to choose between love and your career, which would you take?
Love?
Sure, love. You know, what men feel for horses, dogs, and women and stuff like that.
What would I know about love? I've been married for 15 years.
Oh, I see.
But I guess if I were young and free and had to choose, I'd take love.
You would?
Certainly. Any red-blooded man would.
How about one in whom the white corpuscles dominate?
That kind, too.
Oh, I'm glad to hear you say that, Mr. Willoughby. I guess you and I think the same way.
That's about the nastiest crack I've ever heard.
Well, what I meant was...
Answer that and then get back to work.
Yes, sir. Willoughby store. Oh, hello, Mr. Anderson. Yeah, pick me up on my lunch hour and we'll go over and see that critic. I've had to choose between love and a career, and I've chosen love. I've made my bed, Mr. Anderson. Now I only hope I can lie my way out of it.
Now, don't be nervous, Dennis. There's nothing to worry about. Just remember, you're a big Hollywood star.
Okay, I'm ready.
Good.
Come in.
Ah, Mr. Helcott, the eminent critic, I presume. My name is Coleman.
Coleman? Well, you don't mean...
Yes, old boy, Ronnie, Natch.
Why, this is an honor, Mr. Coleman. I'd never have recognized you with that muffler over your face.
Well, Mr. Coleman's got a bad head cold.
Yes, old boy, I can hardly get my nose open to talk through it.
Oh, I see. Well, this certainly is a thrill for a modest, unassuming, and extremely talented critic like myself. I've always been a great admirer of yours, Mr. Coleman.
Splendid. You have frightfully good taste, old man.
Yes. And I just loved the late George Apley.
Oh, we all did, old boy. All Hollywood turned out for the funeral.
You see, he's referring to your last picture, Ronald. The late George Apley. That was the title.
Oh, of course, to be sure. So many things on my mind, you know.
Yes, I guess you Hollywood people have a lot to think about.
Oh, quite.
I'd certainly like to visit that town someday. I've heard so much about everything in it. Grauman's Chinese.
Oh, yes. Splendid little chaps, all of them.
But isn't Grauman's Chinese a theater?
Well, Mr. Coleman doesn't get around.
Oh, yes. Family problems all the time, you know. I was saying to my wife just before I left. Hortense, I said...
Hortense?
Yes, my wife. Grand girl. We're married.
But isn't your wife's name Benita?
Oh, to be sure. Always getting her confused with the maid. Well, anyway, I said to her, Benita, darling, we'll just have to do something about Junior.
Junior? Yes, my son, wouldn't you say?
I don't think so.
You don't have a son, Ronald, remember?
Oh. Well, I said to Benita, I said, darling, we'll just have to do something about Junior. Referring, I hope, to my daughter.
But you don't have a daughter either.
By Jove, you're quite right. And it's no wonder.
No wonder what?
No wonder we never did anything about Junior.
Ronald, I feel that the interview is getting out of hand.
Oh, really?
Yes, I think we'd better get to the business that brought us here.
Oh, quite, yes. Well, you see, Mr. Helcott, we've been reading your reviews in the local paper for some time.
No! Really, Mr. Coleman?
Yes. Yes, and we feel that you belong either in Hollywood or New York.
I belong in Hollywood or New York?
Whichever is farther.
I beg your pardon?
What Mr. Coleman means is, wouldn't you like to go?
Oh, of course.
Goodbye, old man, and Godspeed.
But I don't understand.
We have a job for you in Hollywood.
A job?
You'll be...
Oh, for a moment I thought you wanted me to work.
Oh, nothing like that. Now run along home and pack. We'll take over your duties here.
Yes, we'll put a fine young chap named Dennis Day right to work on your column.
Quite. Oh, is there anything special this Day person should know about your work?
Oh, no, it's very simple. I just review movies and plays like the one opening tonight. And, oh, yes, does this Mr. Day have a 5 or 6 year old nephew?
A 5 or 6 year old nephew?
For writing reviews of radio programs, you know.
Oh, I see. That explains a lot.
Yes. Well, thank you for this wonderful offer. Goodbye, gentlemen. I'll see you in Hollywood. I just can't wait to get to the bowl for Harry's piano recital.
Dennis, we did it.
Yeah. Can you imagine? And just wait till my review of Macbeth appears. There'll never be another performance by that company.
Your rival is as good as out of town right now. We'll...
Uh-oh. Do you suppose that fellow changed his mind about going?
Gee, I don't know. Come in.
Mr. Helcott, I brought your tickets, but... Why, Herbert Anderson and Dennis. Where's Mr. Helcott? Well, I'm the critic here now, Mr. Willoughby. I did like you told me. I chose love. What are you talking about?
Mr. Helcott has left town, Homer. Dennis is taking his place.
Dennis is... Why, that means he'll review my play. My boy. My dear, dear boy. No use, Mr. Willoughby. It's no use. Yours was not the love I chose. Why, Dennis, what do you mean? You know how a good play can get 4 bells? Yeah? Yours won't even get a door buzzer. You mean you're going to pan my play? You can't. When the play is over tonight, just don't bother sweeping out the place for tomorrow, that's all. Oh, so that's your attitude, is it? Well, I'll fix you. You'll never get into that theater tonight. I'll have guards posted at every door just to watch for you. But you can't do that. I can, huh? I can and I will. Goodbye. Gee, what are we going to do now, Mr. Anderson?
Do? Why, sit right down at that desk and start reviewing the play.
But I haven't seen the play. I can't write up something I don't know anything about, can I?
My boy, you keep forgetting you're a critic. Now, go to work on your criticism. And don't be subtle.
Well, all right. Let's see now. Last night at the Weaverville Summer Theater, an audience of first-nighters was practically nauseated by the most horrible production ever to smell up a playhouse. Too subtle?
No, I think they'll know what you mean.
Good. Now let's see if I can think up something nasty.
Is ready.
Hi, Mildred. My, don't you look pretty this morning.
Why, Dennis, aren't you mad at me anymore?
You mean over that silly Mr. Stewart? What for? I took care of him. See the morning paper?
Oh, I know.
Well, I got myself appointed dramatic critic on it yesterday. And after what I said about that play, he'll never show his face around here again. Smart, huh?
Dennis, you mean you panned the play?
You bet. And every actor and actress in it. Ooh, what I said.
Lady Macbeth, too?
Oh, her I gave the full treatment.
Oh, Dennis.
Huh?
My mother played Lady Macbeth.
Your mother?
Yes.
Mildred, incredible as it may seem, I think I've made a blunder. Boy, will I hear from your mother when she reads that review.
Dennis Day.
I've heard from her.
So, there you are, you worm. Did you write this review in the paper?
Yes, ma'am, but...
How dare you print a thing like this? The play was sick to start with, but it never recovered once Lady Macbeth made an entrance on her two big left feet.
Just a simple mistake in counting, Mrs. Anderson.
And what about your next line? That when I got on the stage, something unfortunate happened to the lights. They stayed on.
Oh, Mother, I'm sure he didn't mean that the way it sounds.
Stop making excuses for him. This time he's gone too far. This time I'm going to...
Mr. Willoughby.
I want to see you.
You better hurry. Mrs. Anderson and I are having a little discussion from which I may never recover.
Mr. Willoughby, do you realize what this boy has done?
Well, certainly I do. He's made our play.
What?
10 minutes after that paper hit the street, our box office was swamped with calls. The play's a sellout. Dennis, you're a doll.
Gee, I lead the most uncertain life.
But I don't understand. After that frightful review...
That's what did it. All we needed was a good panning. They panned Avy's Irish Rose, didn't they? And Tobacco Road? Ha ha! We may run 10 years.
Oh, Dennis, I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, me too. Gee, can you imagine? Being panned by a critic turns out to be even better than being banned in Boston.
Dennis Day will be back in just a moment with a song. But first, here's a fact worth knowing.
Colgate Dental Cream cleans your breath while it cleans your teeth.
And that's important, as our Colgate players are going to demonstrate. Scene, a beach, where a smooth-looking bathing beauty is having a pretty grim time. Listen.
Oh, look at those men. All they can see is that girl in a red bathing suit. Well, they can't see you if you hide way down at this end of the beach, Claire. Well, they can't see me no matter where I am, and that's the truth. Claire, breath trouble cramps any girl's style. So how about seeing your dentist, honey?
And here's what Claire found out.
Scientific tests prove that in 7 out of 10 cases, Colgate Dental Cream instantly stops unpleasing breath that originates in the mouth. And Colgate's safe polishing agent brings out the natural sparkle of your teeth, cleans them thoroughly and safely.
Yes, Colgate Dental Cream cleans your breath while it cleans your teeth.
And Colgate Dental Cream is famous for its wonderful wake-up flavor, too. Nationwide tests of leading toothpastes prove that Colgate's is preferred for flavor over other brands tested.
So, to clean your teeth thoroughly and safely, for a wake-up flavor everyone enjoys, use Colgate Dental Cream. Remember, Colgate Dental Cream cleans your breath while it cleans your teeth. With Charles Dant and the orchestra, here's Dennis to sing Peg of My Heart.
Peg of my heart, I love you, we'll never part. I love you, dear little girl, sweet little girl. Sweeter than the rose of Erin are your winning smiles endearing. Peg o' my heart, your glances with Irish art entrance us. Come be my own, come make your home in my than the rose of Erin are your winning smiles endearing. Peg o' my heart, your glances with Irish art entrance us. Come be my own, come make your home in my heart.
Next week, tune in to another Dentist Day Show brought to you by Colgate Dental Cream to clean your breath while you clean your teeth, and Luster Cream Shampoo, the cream shampoo for true hair loveliness. Remember, doctors prove the Palmolive plan brings 2 out of 3 women lovelier complexions in 14 days. And this beauty plan with Palmolive soap was tested on women with all types of skin. Dry, oily, even skin that was not clear. Yes, 36 doctors proved the 14-day Palmolive plan improves all types of skin, brings fresher, brighter, younger-looking complexions. So get Palmolive soap and start your 14-day Palmolive plan now. This is Vern Smith reminding you that Judy Canova's vacation is over and she'll be back on the air this Saturday night. So if it's laughter you're after, be sure to tune in the Judy Canova Show this Saturday night over most of these same stations. Tonight, stay tuned for the Summerfield Bandstand, which follows immediately.
This is NBC, the national broadcasting company.
The Halls of Ivy, starring Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Colman.
Good evening, this is Ronald Colman.
Benita Colman.
Inviting you to join us again on the campus of Ivy College.
Now, The Halls of Ivy.
That surround us here today.
Welcome again to Ivy College, that is, in the town of Ivy, USA. Most institutions such as Ivy seem quickly to acquire an atmosphere of age and permanence. So much so that it's hard to imagine a day when they were brash new infants in the field of education. But everything good has a beginning, and Ivy's beginning is commemorated each year at the annual Founders' Day celebrations. This year's honored guest is Ivy's oldest living alumnus, Silas Livingston, who arrived late last night at the home of President William Todhunter Hall. And so we find Dr. Hall's lovely wife, Victoria, quietly planning a breakfast tray in the kitchen.
Now, let me see. I think I'll give him 1 soft scrambled egg with toast, the fruit juice, farina, and green tea. Toddy, if you were 91 years old, is that about what you'd like for breakfast?
Victoria, my love, when I am 91 and you are a girl of, say...
Easy does it. I'll never admit to more than 73.
And you are a slip of a girl of 73. Breakfast will no longer be eaten. Meals will be a matter of chemically concentrated food. A red capsule for breakfast, a white capsule for lunch, a blue capsule for dinner.
And for political banquets, all of them. And 3 cheers for the red, white, and blue. Anyway, there won't be any more jokes about the bride's biscuits.
No, the comedians will have to modernize. They'll do things like, Mary has a little lamb and thinks that it perhaps'll end its days like beef and ham compressed into a capsule.
I do think that's good. Yeah, well, anyway, I think that's about what Mr. Livingston would enjoy for his breakfast. Poor old boy. He certainly looked tired when he arrived here last night. Like a little baby deprived of its sleep.
Oh, that's an unkind comparison. A baby is notoriously the most greedy, egocentric, and grasping of organisms. Even while it is being tenderly talcumed, it is plotting how it can snatch your eyeglasses, eat the nearest safety pin, and scream with rage when unable to bite off its own toe. I love them. I find them irresistible.
Yeah, I suppose nature made them so cuddly to compensate for taking advantage of us. Yeah, by the way, do we have Mr. Livingston all day, or does Mr. Wellman help to unroll the red carpet?
Oh, I'm afraid Mr. Wellman is too busy playing host to a small virus which has taken up a homestead in his left bronchial tube.
Oh. It seems almost unfair to use penicillin on a little virus brave enough to attack our Clarence.
Mr. Wellman appears to be convinced that it was through some witchcraft that he was victimized.
Oh.
I think he believes the virus was an intimate friend of mine. Sent on a mission of personal vengeance. Well, I tried to explain that I was not... I'll get it, Vicky.
Hello, Bill. How are you this fine Founder's Day? And where is your lovely, your beautiful, your magnificent wife? I saw the sunrise this morning, and I want to tell her how unfavorably it compared with her.
Hello, Charles. I'm fine in the living room.
You're fine in the living room? That's great. But how are you in the kitchen? Hello, Mrs. Hall.
Hello, Mr. Merriweather. How are you?
Never better. Although I'd like to know just why I'm whispering like this.
No. It was just in the hall. Mr. Livingston is still asleep in the guest room.
And we don't want to wake him up.
Well, bless his little old arteries. He gave me the excuse for coming over to see you so early in the day. Before Mr. Wellman took to his little trundle bed yesterday with what passes in him for a fever, and with him 106 is normal, our board chairman appointed me his deputy for the Founder's Day caper.
Why, that's splendid, Charles. And did Mr. Wellman impress upon you the necessity of dignity in honoring our venerable graduate of the class of 1880?
And did his voice thicken with emotion as he contemplated the years of Ivy history represented by Silas Livingston?
Yes, ma'am. With his head thick with emotion or something, he briefed me. Said he, trembling with hope and avarice, "Merriweather," he said, "you'll answer for it if that refugee from a mausoleum gives this college less than $25,000.
Mr. Wellman is going to leave no Livingstone unturned, is he?
Well, in that calculating machine which serves Clarence for a heart, we must recognize a certain amount of sentiment, ma'am. And with him, 100 sentiments equals $1. Now, what's first on the entertainment schedule for our rollicking relic, Bill?
The grand tour. A ride around the campus in the president's car. The state vehicle that doubles as a grocery wagon when Vicky goes shopping.
Yeah. Oh, Toddy, before we go, remind me to take the laundry out of the car and also replace the back seat.
Oh, yes.
Mr. Livingston wouldn't see much of the campus sprawled on the floor on the back of the car, would he?
Perhaps someday Ivy will have an official limousine for these occasions. Chauffeur driven. With me sitting on a little platform with a megaphone, dispensing historical data and campus gossip. There'll be a small placard which says, "Please do not tip the guide," over which I will hang my overcoat.
Well, I'll have to go now, but I'll see you tonight. With Clarence being sick, I have to read his speech. And I hereby serve notice that I'm going to bop it up with a few yaks. At present, it sounds like a farewell address written by a manic depressive Aztec just before jumping into a flaming volcano.
Well, any humor you can inject into the proceedings will be welcome, Charles.
You go ahead and yock it up. I'll be in the audience leading the clap.
Thank you, ma'am. It's only my lumbago which keeps me from kissing the hem of your garment. Just remember to save a few dances for me at the student ball tonight.
Well, of course I will.
I'll see you later.
Goodbye, Charles. I'm sure he came over here to let us know that he has no intention of playing panhandler for Clarence Wellman, who is convinced that in my usual inept way I will fail to extract some money from Mr. Livingston.
He doesn't seem to realize that with the mosquitoes out of season, one doesn't put the bite on a house guest.
Of course. We can't put a price tag on hospitality.
No.
Besides, it was not... Now, who can that be?
Well, I'll get it, Toddy. I just hope all this commotion doesn't disturb Mr. Livingston. Mr. Livingston!
Howdy, ma'am. I see you folks are up and about.
Well, Mr. Livingston, I don't recall having locked you out last night, so could it be that you...
It could be. I'm an old farmer, Dr. Hall. While there wasn't any rooster to wake me up this morning, there were some mighty pretty little hens walking around the campus. So I went out to check the chickens.
They tell me that every American boy at one time or another wears a little celluloid badge that says Chicken Inspector. You've just kept yours longer than most people.
Well, it's an American tradition to keep an appreciative eye on our poultry, Mr. Livingston. After all, this country was founded on a Plymouth Rock.
Anyway, I tried to get out as quietly as I could. I didn't want to wake you. Young folks like you need your sleep.
I was waiting to send up your breakfast.
Yeah, figured you were, girlie, figured you were. Soft eggs, soft cereal, soft words. Can't stand any of them. So I stopped at that stand down the road a piece and had a hamburger and onion as thick as a double eagle. And a cup of coffee, strong as a good Jersey bull.
Well, as a matter of fact, Mr.
There's a lot of improvements around here, including co-education. That little co helps in education, I think. Yes, sir. Co is an abbreviation for company, and everybody needs it. Oh, excuse me for interrupting you, Dr. Hall. Rude habit of mine. When you're 91, you haven't got time to listen to other people talking. You never know when you'll be interrupted for the last time, sir. Oh, say, Mrs. Hall. Well, you're a real cute girl. Last night you weren't standing in the light where I could see you.
Oh, Mr. Livingston, I'm beginning to think it's a good thing this college wasn't co-educational when you were here. It wasn't ready for you.
What's on the schedule today, Mr. President?
After a ride around the campus, which, as you've already noticed, has changed considerably since 1880, we shall visit the chapel, where the student body will assemble to meet you. Then we will proceed to... Excuse me, Mr. Livingston. Dr. Hall speaking. Oh, yes, Mr. Wellman, how are you? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. You've heard about it. Yes, it's true, but I didn't let him out, Mr. Wellman. He went out by himself. Yes, and he had a hamburger for breakfast. But just a moment. With piccalilli?
With piccalilli. And mustard and onion and ketchup.
With everything. Oh, yes, he's here. Why, certainly. One moment. Mr. Wellman would like to talk to you, Mr. Livingston.
That is Silas Livingston. Who are you? Oh, chairman of the board, eh? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes. Now, wait a minute, young fella. You talk too much and too fast. There you are, lying sick of bed, and you're trying to tell me how to take care of myself. That's enough now. You've got to learn how to relax, or you'll burn yourself out before you're 80. But I say that's enough. Goodbye.
If this keeps up, I hope you live to be 150.
Well, I intend to, girlie. I intend to. He wants something from me, that young fella, and I'll bet it's money.
Well, how can you tell on such a short acquaintance?
Oh, Victoria, Mr. Livingston is a farmer. He's been around domesticated animals long enough to know when they're looking for a little sugar.
Yes, sir, they sort of sashay up to you real winsome, like you were the best friend. And if you haven't got an apple in your hand, they give you a soft, reproachful look and try to kick your head off.
Well, in all fairness to Mr. Wellman, I must say that he has never realized the truth of the old adage that just because you raise a little cane doesn't mean you end up with a lot of sugar.
Yeah, maybe so. But I sure would like to see that boy's face when he finds out that the only green stuff I've got grows on my farm.
Well, he'll have to find it out for himself. We aren't going to tell him.
And now, if it pleases you, Squire Livingston, the gas-powered surrey awaits without. My wife and I will be pleased to show you the garden in which we labor, for it can truly be said that a university must also be dedicated to growth and change, or it, too, can become a wasteland.
We admit to being a little sentimental about this college, Mr. Livingston. As the poet said, here the heart may give a useful lesson to the head, and learning wiser grow without his book.
What poet was that, Mrs. Hall?
William Cowper.
Cooper, darling. It is spelled Cowper, but pronounced Cooper.
Charlie, only just the other day, I heard you call him Cowper.
Oh, I know, my dear. I sometimes do. Confusion dating back to my student days in your lovely country. There was an old Scots professor, Angus MacLaren. When he was challenged with his pronunciation of Cowper, he would say, "My lads, I come fra Aberdeen. And until you learn to call a cow a coo in the Heelands, I prefer to call a coo a cow while I'm wasting my time south of the border with you young heathens."
Presentation of The Halls of Ivy, starring Mr. and Mrs. Ronald Coleman.
As we return to the Halls of Ivy, it's the evening of the same day. We find Dr. and Mrs. Hall and Mr. Merriweather on the sidelines of the Founders' Day Student Ball. They've just come from the alumni dinner, and as Mr. Merriweather observes...
Well, that certainly was the shortest dinner on record.
And the shortest faculty reception, and the shortest student chapel.
Now, don't tell me that Gaffer Livingston broke them up, too.
Oh, he most certainly did. He has a dislike for pompous occasions, which amounts to a phobia. The psychologists, I suppose, would call him a ceremony-phobiac. The psychologists, as opposed to those lovers of ritual who might be called fanfarophiles. I myself am an in-betweener. I am a sort of take-it-or-leave-itologist.
Yeah, well, put me up for membership in that. I've been an MC on several occasions, but I found that the best way to master a ceremony is to stay away from it. What did our guest do at the chapel?
Well, he acknowledged William's introduction with great charm, and then said, if my memory serves me right, and it serves me good and right, you would all rather be outside than in here, so consider yourselves dismissed.
But they reconvened outside the door, where he stayed for 2 hours and captured their hearts completely.
Yeah, well, where's the little leprechaun now? You know, he moves faster at 91 than I did at 20. And I was known as Where'd-he-go Merriweather.
When I last saw him, he was engaged in light banter with a junior Phi Beta Kappa and the Ivy homecoming queen. And he had both of them in a delighted trance.
If I were only his age. It's terrible to be as young as I am. A callow 60.
Well, age is a matter of outlook, not years, Mr. Merriweather. And as long as you can still get out and look, you're young. Uh-oh, here comes the oldest living alumnus.
Hey, what are you folks standing around here for? Like last summer's constable. Why don't you dance with the president's wife, son?
Mr. Livingston, for somebody to call me son is so refreshing I'd burst into a Charleston if the floor wasn't so crowded. Praise be.
Well, just because you're on the board of governors, boy, don't mean you can't relax. I got a theory that sitting around a boardroom table does something to the character.
Well, I've heard it said that the difference between a chairman and the rest of the board is that the motion goes through the membership and the chairman just goes through the motions.
Anyway, Mr. Livingston, Mr. Merriweather did ask me to dance, and I told him I was saving this one for you.
Oh, no. Thanks anyway, girlie. Can't dance this kind of dancing. Just isn't sociable. Well, dancing isn't dancing unless everybody joins in. These kids don't know what real fun square dancing is.
Oh, but they do, Mr. Livingston. We have weekly square dancing sessions at the social hall. Every student has blue jeans or a calico dress and can do-si-do with the best of them.
Is that right?
Oh, yes.
Well, sir, you're looking right at the finest fiddler this side of the Ozarks. Known at home as the Heifetz of the hayloft.
How wonderful. Oh, dear, what shall we do for a caller? Mr. Merriweather, do you think you...
Oh, no, not me, ma'am, no. Maybe one of the students. Wait a minute. I know the best caller east of the Great Divide, if I may use the term so soon after March 15th.
Now, what's he up to now?
Oh, something outrageous, I'm sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, scholars, members of the Student Council, and gate crashers. Our distinguished guest, Mr. Silas Livingston, is, by his own admission, a gifted square dance fiddler who has put more turkeys in the straw than Cain's warehouse, which is a theatrical joke for Mrs. Hall and myself only. So line up your sets and bow to your lady. We're going to square dance.
I wonder who's going to call.
And for a caller, friends, as the cream rises to the top, we skim this one right off the lip of the separator. For our caller, I call upon Dr. William Todhunter, Tex Hall.
No, really, I couldn't. Good heavens, I don't.
Come on, Charlie, come on, it's a splendid idea.
Not me, please.
Yes.
Vicky has been...
Come on, Bill, come on. You've been elected unanimously.
I'm sorry, Charles. It's a little out of my... Oh, no. After all,
bashful, are you, son?
No, it isn't that. It's just that I don't... for small faculty parties, perhaps, but...
All right, Bill. I'll see who else I can find.
Oh, well, Charles, if you insist, of course. String your fiddle, Mr. Livingstone.
Yippee!
Ready, Mr. Fiddler?
Yeah, ready as I'll ever be. Let her rip.
Now, honor your partner, lady on your left. Hold your hands and circle left. Squirrel back about the mile, lady leading the gentleman wire. First couple of ways to the right, forehand round with all your might. Circle four around the up and you're gone again. Throw hops out with the right-hand cross, back with the left and don't get lost. Break to your corner, how are you? Caught in the left and a howdy do. Chicken in the bread pan, picking up gravel. One more change and on you travel. Now on to the next in circle 4. Ah, that was good, Vicky, my darling. I can understand now the full meaning of giving a condemned man a hearty breakfast. It prepares one for any eventuality.
Who's condemning you and for what?
Well, I'm afraid, my dear, that some of our more straight-laced board members might take exception to my public exhibition last night. I wonder if I did the right thing.
Well, of course you did. You were perfectly splendid.
Oh, I don't think after all, I had never... Was I really?
Well, you most certainly were. Everybody thought you were the greatest thing since Paul Bunyan. And if Bunyan isn't the patron saint of the square dance, he should be.
Well, square dancing is a social release. It gives otherwise shy and retiring people an opportunity to kick up their heels, bow from the waist, curtsy and sashay. In mock seriousness, they are acting as pioneers. And at last, for a brief time, they regained the mutual shoulder-to-shoulder, hand-in-hand group spirit of their frontier forebears. It is this group spirit which... Do you think if I write this out in pamphlet form that Arthur Murray would buy it?
Let's tell it to the Board of Governors first, shall we?
Good point, yes. But as an American institution, I don't see how Ivy's governors could frown upon a square dance on Founders' Day.
Oh, what a frown. Just a couple of eyebrows getting together for a little gossip.
After all, our country was born to the ribald tune of Yankee Doodle. John Henry laid steel rails with a 30-pound hammer in his hand, singing She'll Be Coming Round the Mountain When She Comes.
Woo, woo.
Blow the man down, they shouted, going around the horn. And drill, ye tarriers, drill, as they cut through mountains. And when they spread out in the lonesome wilderness, they sang, Yippee-I-O-Ki-Yay. Well, can you tell me why our Yippee-I-O-Ki-Yay isn't just as pretty as your Hey Nonny Nonny?
I mean, offhand, I don't really know whether... Oh.
Yes? Oh, yes, Mr. Wellman, this is Dr. Hall, also known as Tex Hall. I most certainly did, and I do not consider it undignified. No, Mr. Wellman, I did not ask Mr. Livingston for any money. He has sufficiently enriched the college by his visit. He is leaving this morning with the official thanks of Ivy College. I'm sure that you will wish to join in such an expression to our oldest alumnus. Yes, Mr. Wellman. Goodbye.
Good for you. I was standing up for your grand right and left.
I hope I didn't stand up for them so loudly as to waken Mr. Livingston.
Oh, it'd take more than a phone call for that, I'm afraid. He was so tired last night he couldn't lift his chin off his fiddle. Wasn't he wonderful, though, Tom?
Yes, in many ways he was a tonic for all of us.
That's a nice thing to hear so bright and early in the morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I hope we didn't wake you up, Mr. Livingston.
Oh, I've been awake and about for some time. Had to get my packing done.
Some coffee?
Thank you, Miss Hall. Thank you. Yes, sir, I've been up there listening to everything you said. It's the privilege of an old man to snoop now and then. Sometimes the only way to hear good things. This has been the nicest 2 days of my life, Dr. Hall. And I'm grateful to Ivy. I want to do something in return.
Oh, Mr. Livingston...
No, just a minute. The one thing I missed at Ivy when I was here was a proper agricultural course. Now, Ivy's got one, but it's not complete. Dr. Hall, here's the deed to my modern, completely equipped 500-acre farm with all its pedigreed livestock to be used as an experimental farm for the ag school.
How absolutely wonderful.
Livingston.
I made it out to Ivy before I came here, just in case. But after last night, and after your little speech this morning, I'm sure it's just what I want to do.
The Livingston Experimental Farm. On behalf of the students of Ivy who will benefit, our most heartfelt thanks, Mr. Livingston.
Well, now I better be getting home. I'm going to stay with my son, a young whippersnapper of 70 who's badly in need of a guiding hand. Here's the twig his bench, you know. Well, excuse me. I'll go get my valise.
Well, there goes a good kid.
Yes, a grand old young man. As Cicero said, for as I like a young man in whom there is something of the old, so I like an old man in whom there is something of the young. And he who follows this maxim, in body will possibly be an old man, but he will never be an old man in mind.
The Ford Dealers of America present The Fred Allen Show. The Fred Allen Show with Fred's guests Leo Durocher, Fulton Hoffa, Minerva Pius, Peter Donald, Parker Fenley, the DeMarco Sisters, and Al Goodman and his orchestra. And this is Kenny Delmar speaking for your friendly Ford dealer. He's the expert on Fords in your neighborhood. He's the one who knows your Ford best. It stands to reason that he's the man to service your Ford. He has special equipment to do the job right. His mechanics are Ford trained in factory-approved methods. He has genuine Ford parts. So for an expert job done promptly, it pays to bring your Ford back home for service.
Ladies and gentlemen, to observe daylight saving time, today all clocks were moved ahead 1 hour. Tonight, we bring you the man of the hour the country lost. He's Fred Allen.
Thank you, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. In Portland, I'm glad you mentioned that mildly amusing bit that you did about daylight saving time.
When the clocks are moved ahead, does that make everybody an hour younger?
An hour younger? Yes, it does. If you had a grandfather clock and you moved it ahead enough hours, the grandfather clock would become a little boy clock with a small face and dirty hair. You'd have to move it ahead an awful lot.
Daylight...
Wait, now, just because your lines don't get laughed, you know.
Daylight saving spoiled Mama's cuckoo clock.
Really? How?
The cuckoo doesn't know what time it is.
Really? What makes you think so?
Today at 12 o'clock, the cuckoo came out and just shrugged its wings.
If you think you're... I saw a man come out of the Audubon Society and do the same thing. I think he was cuckoo too, but if you think your cuckoo is confused, you should see Misha Auer today. He doesn't even know who he is. Say, I just happened... We have awfully slow acoustics in here. I must speak to Mr. Trammell to have the acoustics stepped up in here. Say, Portland, I just happened to think. Jack Eigen.
What is that?
Well, Jack Eigen only listens to our program until he hears his name. Now, he asked me to mention his name early tonight. He has to go over to the circus. He's doing a special broadcast from inside Gargantua's cage. After the show, Gargantua is going over to the Copa, I think, for Jack's anniversary. It looks like a big night with fur on at the Copa. Tell me, wait till they get Gargantua to check his coat. Wait till they... Tell me, Portland, what's in the news this week?
The subway fare is going to be raised to 10 cents.
I wonder why they're raising the subway fare.
Well, Mama says they're trying to keep out the riffraff.
Well, they should. The subway really could use a better class of people.
It's going to cost 10 cents to come from Jackson Heights.
And it's going to be worth it.
Have you heard the new subway jingle?
Really? What is the subway jingle?
The subway fare is now a dime. Commuters think it is a crime. The good old days are forever lost when a ride in the subway only costs a nickel, 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 nickel,
That's
nickel.
very good. I must say, you are in rare voice tonight.
Do you think I'll ever sing at the Met?
Not inside, no. Tell me, what else is hot in the news?
Well, Kathleen Windsor, who wrote Forever Amber, is divorcing her husband, Artie Shaw.
Yeah, they say she's writing a sequel to Forever Amber.
A sequel?
It's called Temporarily Artie. Yes, if I don't hear any cries of author from people wanting the name of the man who wrote that joke, I think I shall start for Alan's Alley.
What is your question tonight?
Well, a new book called The Treasury of American Superstitions has been compiled by Claudia DeLise. It contains every superstition you have ever heard of, Portland. And so, being in the mood for superstitions, our question is, how do you feel about superstition?
Shall we go?
As the Chinese teapot said to the auctioneer's hammer, I'm going, I'm gone. It's good to get back to Alan's Alley, Portland. I guess the Senator's having mule meat for dinner. There's something braying in the barbecue pit. Oh, well, let's not.
Somebody tapped my trellis. Oh, it's you, Jughead.
Yes, Senator.
Well, let's go, son. As the two men said when they was inventing bubble gum, let's make it snappy.
Right.
You know, I'm busier than a handkerchief during a Betty Davis picture. I'm working on Senator Taft's housing bill. Everybody today is trying to get into a new house.
But,
even Senator Taft.
Senator Taft is trying to get into a new house?
Yeah, the White House. You don't get it, do you, son?
No.
You ought to give your head to a bone bank.
Now, wait a minute, sir. Take it easy with those innuendos, Senator. Tell me, what's new?
Well, I was up in New York attending that newspaper publishers' convention.
The newspaper?
Now, confidentially, son. Don't let this get around.
No.
I never read the newspapers, only the funnies.
The comics, eh?
Yeah, my favorite is Joe Palooka.
Joe Palooka.
When I was a young sprout, I used to dress like Joe Palooka.
Yeah?
Used to talk like Joe Palooka.
Yeah?
Used to walk like Joe Palooka.
Gosh.
When I'd strut down the street, everybody would say, there goes that Palooka.
And they can still say that today, Senator.
I'm honored, son.
Well, tell me, Senator, how do you feel about American superstition?
Well, son, down where I come from, we've got one superstition.
And that superstition is?
That a drink of whiskey will cure a snake bite.
I see.
For 20 years, every morning when I get up, I drink a full tumbler of whiskey.
Every morning?
Every noon before dinner, I drink another full tumbler of whiskey.
Every noon?
Every night before going to bed, I drink a full tumbler of whiskey.
You've been drinking whiskey for 20 years. Have you ever been bitten by a snake, Senator?
Not yet, son.
No?
But the first snake that bites me is going to find me well prepared. So long.
I hope the snake is as well fortified as the senator. Yeah, I wonder if Mr. Moody's around.
Howdy, Bob.
Mr. Moody, you look a little tired.
Yeah, last night I was up till all hours.
Oh, really?
Must have been 9 o'clock before I got to bed. And this morning I didn't wake up till 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock?
The whole forenoon was gone.
What kept you up so late?
Oh, our Townsend Club had to do.
Oh, really? What was the entertainment?
The first act was a fellow in yellow bell brigands and bare feet.
An acrobat?
Yeah, he kept skinning the cat for 20 minutes.
Oh, I see.
Next, two fellows come on dressed in blood-red tuxedos.
Yes?
They played Chinatown, My Chinatown on musical bottles.
Say, this was some show.
The grand howdy-do and climax was Miss Mona Huckabee.
Yeah?
Miss Huckabee, she gave an exciting description of a honeysuckle bloom unfolding and opening up that she'd spied on through a magnifying glass.
Hey, you had some evening.
I'd think twice before I'd go through it again.
Mr. Moody, what about these American superstitions?
Why, some of them make sense, some don't.
Well, how do you mean?
Well, some people think keeping a whale in a closet is bad luck.
Yes, that's true.
And a family I know, they wouldn't open an umbrella in the house. They said that was bad luck.
Really?
One spring it rained, 32 straight days and nights.
Yeah?
Rain started pouring through the roof down inside the house.
They wouldn't raise an umbrella?
No. Whole family was drowned.
What do you mean? Well, tell me, Titus, do you have any superstitions?
Why, I ain't decided.
No?
Last summer, I nailed a horseshoe up over my front door to bring me good luck. And it did.
What happened?
Why, one night lightning struck the metal horseshoe.
Yes?
And my house burnt to the ground.
But how were you lucky?
I wasn't home. So long.
Let's try this next door.
Howdy, Jeffy.
Mrs. Nussbaum, I see you have your gold wedgies on.
I'm practically only now this minute from the theater returning.
Really? What play did you see?
Macbeth.
Macbeth.
It was written by Shakespeare.
Are you a Shakespeare fan?
Then I am attending by Mrs. Zibberman the finishing school, a young chit.
Uh-huh.
I'm starting with the Dramatics Club in Macbeth.
Oh, really? What part did you play in Macbeth?
With long hair, also one tooth, I am a witch.
Oh, a witch?
Doubling, toil with troubling, fire, brain, also cauldron, bobbling.
From the play of the same name. That's very good. That's very good.
Mrs. Zibberman is saying that closing the eyes, you are not knowing me from Morris Evans.
I can. Well, Mrs. Nussbaum, how do you feel about superstition?
Oh, walking under a mirror, breaking a ladder, throwing over the shoulders saltines. I'm laughing.
Do you recall any specific instances where you have flouted superstitions?
Last October.
What happened?
It's an old superstitious. A black cat is crossing the path, is coming bad luck.
Bad luck?
This Pierre I am out driving.
Yes?
Is crossing the path 3 black cats.
3 black cats?
We are hitting them 1, 2, 3.
And the bad luck?
The black cat is having the bad luck.
And you?
I am having a new fur coat.
Oh, my God. Brings us to the Ajax Cassidy, Sandy. Let's pass the time of day with Mr. Cassidy. Well, Mr. Cassidy, what about these superstitions?
Me boy, superstitions are not to be taken lightly.
No?
When the supernatural is flaunted, dire are the consequences that can ensue.
You know of a specific case, Ajax?
I do. 'Twas 3 on a mat put Balzac Brannigan in the hospital.
3 on a mat?
Well, now, you see, Balzac was at the circus.
Yeah?
And the Siamese twins was just lighting 2 cigarettes.
Uh-huh.
Balzac stepped up and asked the Siamese twins for a light.
I see.
Well, after he got the light, Balzac started to walk between the Siamese twins. He was stopped.
I see.
Balzac says, whatever it is, let it down, boys. I've got to get through. Well, a fight started.
Yes?
One of the Siamese twins was arrested, the other one got away, and Balzac came to in the accident wall.
Say, there must be something to those superstitions.
Oh, there is. Now, you take Knocko Nolan, the waiter.
What happened to Knocko the waiter?
Well, now, all his life, to ward off rheumatism,
Yeah?
Knocko carried an acorn in his pocket.
An acorn?
When he finally died, Knocko the waiter was buried in his waiter's suit with the acorn still in his pocket.
Uh-huh.
20 years later, what happened?
What?
Out of Knocko the waiter's grave, there grew a giant oak tree.
A giant oak tree.
And the oak tree had on a tuxedo coat and a dickie.
Are you superstitious, Ajax?
Oh, I am, me boy. I'm convinced the number 13 is unlucky.
What makes you think so?
Well, 13 has caused me to disappear at frequent intervals for periods of 30 days.
13?
12 jurymen and a judge. Good night.
We've had enough fun. We're ready now for the DeMarco song. And so, The 5 DeMarco sisters and Maestro Goodman add up to April Showers. Girls?
Showers, they come your way. They bring the flowers that bloom in May. So if it's raining, have no regret, because it isn't raining rain. You know it's raining violets. And when you see clouds up on the hill, you soon will see clouds of daffodils. So keep on looking for a bluebird and listen for the song whenever April showers come along. When you see clouds up in the hill, soon you see clouds. So many daffodils in the hills, so look for a bluebird and listen for his song whenever April showers come along. When April showers come along.
And now, ladies and gentlemen...
Oh, Fred.
Yes, Kenny?
Senator Claghorn is outside to see you.
Senator Claghorn, I just left him a little while ago. Send him in.
All right. Right this way, Senator.
Yes, come right in, Senator Claghorn.
Well, howdy. I say howdy, son. Have a cigar.
Well, thanks, Senator. Say, what's the big idea carrying that tree trunk with you?
Son, I'm aiming to make some stump speeches. I'm campaigning.
Campaigning? Oh, that explains this free cigar, then. Say, what's this writing on the band? A vote for Claghorn is a vote for Ford trucks.
Well, that's my slogan, son. It's sweeping the country.
The new Ford trucks?
They're drawing the crowd, son. Everybody wants that bonus.
You are giving a bonus?
Ford trucks are giving the bonus. They're bonus built. Built extra strong to last longer, that is.
Well, tell me, Senator, isn't this something new in politics, building a platform around trucks?
Well, son, when I heard there were 139 models in the new Ford truck line, I started thinking.
Thinking what?
When I heard how truck drivers were raving about the comfort of Ford's new $1 million cab, I made up my mind.
You're setting up campaign headquarters at your Ford dealer?
I'm doing better than that, son. I'm turning in my old bandwagon for a new Ford truck. So long, son. So long, that is.
Again, Senator. So long. For listeners who feel that a little music goes a long way, we have just offered a few bars of But Beautiful, played by Maestro Al Goodman and his They Knew Vaughn Monroe When He Was Only a Schmo orchestra. And now, ladies, yes, Portland?
Who is our guest tonight?
Well, we haven't any guest, Portland.
No guest?
That is one of the things that is wrong with radio today. Every program has refrigerators and guests.
But guests are radio has too many guests. I heard a guest on Mary Margaret McBride's program the other day. He brought a guest with him. Well, while Mary was interviewing her guest, the guest was interviewing his guest. It was very confusing. Mr. Bohack objected, I heard later. But last week, you said Leo Durocher was coming tonight.
Leo Durocher is the reason I am finished with guest, Portland. The trouble I had with that Leo Durocher.
What happened?
Well, last Thursday, I was walking along 50th Street. Just as I passed Peg Woffington's tea shop, the door opened, and I heard a voice say, "Hello, Fred." Leo Durocher. Leo, what are you doing coming out of Peg Woffington's tea shop?
I just finished my lesson.
Your lesson in a tea shop?
Yes, I have a tutor. I'm studying the theory and proper technique of drinking tea.
Tea?
Fred, do you know when you finish your tea, you're not supposed to squeeze the wet tea bag out between your fingers?
No? What do you do?
Well, when you're finished, you pick the tea bag up in the sugar tongs and press it gently.
But, Leo...
Fred, do you know what I learned today?
What?
You drink tea out of the cup.
The cup? What do you do with the saucer?
Well, if your tea is too hot to drink, you fan it with your saucer.
Oh, wait a minute, Leo, what is this tea routine?
Well, you have to know these things, old boy, when you're in the literary set.
You are in the literary set?
Yes, Fred. I just wrote a book.
A book?
It's called The Dodgers and Me.
The Dodgers and Me.
Well, in Boston, of course, it's called The Dodgers and I.
Oh, now. But, Leo, how did you ever happen to write a book?
Well, last year, Fred, I had a lot of time on my hands.
I know.
And I read that Babe Ruth was writing a book, and it gave me an idea.
Oh, so you started to write a book, too?
I wrote day and night for 6 months.
And when you finished?
I had a sentence 300 pages long.
One sentence was 300 pages long?
The publisher made me go back and break it up into paragraphs. Then he showed me what periods, commas, and hyphens were and told me to punctuate it.
And when the book was finished?
I had 200 commas, 30 periods, and 1 hyphen left over.
1 hyphen, eh?
I finally got rid of the hyphen.
How?
I stood the hyphen up on end and used it for an exclamation point.
Good.
Well, Fred, I must dash. I'll be late for my etiquette class.
Etiquette class?
Oh, yes. Attending all these literary teas, I can't afford to commit a faux pas.
Oh, you're polishing your manners?
Oh, I'm also learning my knives and forks.
Oh, fine.
Fred, you know that little fork way down at the end of the fork?
Yes.
That's for eating oysters.
No kidding. An oyster fork?
For 30 years, I've been eating oysters with a spoon.
God.
Last night, my homework was correct napkin usage.
Correct napkin usage.
The napkin is supposed to be unfurled and tossed casually on the lap.
Oh.
I used to stuff my napkin down in my collar.
Oh, and now that your napkin is in your lap?
My shirt is loaded with gravy.
You're a mess, eh?
Well, I'm a slob, but I'm correct.
Leo, take my advice. Stay a slob. What do you want with etiquette and writing books? Why, you're one of the best managers in baseball.
But I'm thinking of my future, Fred. That's why I became an author.
Why?
Well, George Bernard Shaw is 92 years old, and he's still writing, isn't he?
Yes.
When a baseball player is 92, well, where is he?
Where?
He's pitching for the Giants.
Leo, I wonder if you...
Oh, I'll be glad to, Fred. I'll have my publisher, Zip Davis, send you a copy of my book, The Dodgers and Me, tomorrow.
No, not the book, Leo. I know the Dodgers are playing at Ebbets Field. I thought you might have a ticket.
Oh, it just so happens I have 2 extra tickets. Eugene O'Neill couldn't make it. Here you are, Fred.
Gosh, 2 tickets. Thanks a lot, Leo.
Well, I'm having a beret made. I've got to get a fitting. So long, Fred.
So long, Leo. Well, Portland, the next day I took the 2 tickets and went over to Brooklyn to see the game. I got out of the subway. I seemed to be in the very heart of Brooklyn. Natives crowded around me in their quaint costumes, chattering in a strange tongue. I stopped a native girl and said, "Pardon me." The native girl replied,
"What's eating you, Jake?"
Can you tell me, miss, how to get to Ebbets Field?
Ebbets Field?
Yes.
Latch on.
Uh-huh.
This is my landing first.
Yeah.
You go down first, you see an oyster bar.
Uh-huh.
Cross the oyster bar, some Mumpitcher.
Yeah.
Next to Mumpitcher's side.
Yeah.
The downside, 30 blocks. That's 30 side inside. That's Ebbets Field.
Well, I know, but where is Ebbets Field?
Oh, you refugee.
Now, look, Miss, by any chance, are you going towards Ebbets Field?
I noted a wolf in creep's clothing.
Now, Miss, I have an extra ticket to the game if you'd like to.
Oh, yeah, I'm calling a cop.
Come back here, Miss. Miss, I have an extra ticket.
Pardon me, mister.
Yes, sir?
I heard you yelling. Are you selling tickets for the Dodgers game?
No, not selling. No, I just happen to have an extra ticket here.
I'll give you $5 for it.
Oh, no. I couldn't take your money.
But I insist.
No, here, you take the ticket.
Here's the $5. So long.
No, wait, come here. I don't want your money.
You there, just a minute.
Yes, officer.
Got a license to sell baseball tickets?
A license? No.
I thought so. A scalper.
A scalper?
That's the Joe, copper. He tried to give me the eye.
Molest him, too.
All right, come on, Fiddler.
But, officer, I can explain.
Tell it to the judge.
But I'm going to Ebbets Field.
Oh, yeah?
I'm Leo Durocher's guest. He invited me to see his team.
Never mind the team. I'm calling the wagon. Come on.
Now, wait. Take your cold hand out of my collar, officer. You're killing my Adam's apple, officer. Well, Portland, the next morning I had to go to court. I called Leo Durocher, and he came over to be my witness. We got to the Brooklyn court just in time. The judge was rapping his gavel.
Here yours. The next case. People of Brooklyn versus Fred Allen. The charge, ticket speculating. Guilty or not guilty, Allen?
Not guilty, Your Honor.
That's what you think. Wait till I get going. All right, who's the first witness?
I am, Judge.
What's your name?
Charlie Heffelfinger.
What happened, Saul?
Well, Your Honor, I'm standing on Myrtle Avenue when this Geronimo give me the eye. Well, I throw him the chill. The next thing I know, he's hawking tickets to the Dodgers game.
Your Honor, this is ridiculous.
Order in the court! Officer Clancy.
I caught him two-handed, Your Honor.
Two-handed?
In one hand he had a ticket, in the other hand he was holding $5.
Where's the evidence, Clancy?
Right here. Here's the stub of the ticket.
Clancy, how was the game?
Oh, great. And here's the change from his $5. I had 17 hot dogs.
Allen, this evidence is incriminating.
Your Honor, I can explain.
Order in the court! Whereas you open your trap once more, I'll throw me gravel in it. Now, wait a minute. Don't talk back. You New York wise guys has got to quit coming over here trying to smirch the good name of Brooklyn.
But, Your Honor...
Last week, a guy in a parking lot had a television set on top of a beer barrel. He was simulating a saloon. Now you come over with your ticket speculating. I ought to habeas your corpus.
Your Honor, I have a witness.
All right, where's your witness?
He's right here. Tell the judge, Leo.
Your Honor, I feel that the prosecution of this innocent man is a grave miscarriage of justice.
Hey, just a moment, character. Who are you?
I'm Leo Durocher.
What's on your mind, Bud?
Well, I'd like to say a few words on Mr. Allen's behalf.
Yes, tell the judge just what happened, Leo.
Yeah, no perjury, neither.
Well, Your Honor, the quality of mercy is not strange. It droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven.
What is that, a weather report?
Your Honor, that's from the Merchant of Venice.
I don't care if it's from Abraham and Strauss. This guy's ticket.
Your Honor?
Tell him where I got the tickets, Leo.
Your Honor, I gave Mr. Allen those baseball tickets.
What are you, a printer?
Oh, a writer.
You're a writer. Oh, Clancy.
Oh, yeah, Your Honor.
I think I got this bum trapped. Give him a pencil and paper.
Okay, Judge.
All right, Mr. Writer. Now write something.
Gladly, Your Honor. There you are.
Hey, look, Clancy, what is this?
It's writing, Judge.
No kidding. I thought writing was bigger than that.
No, Judge, that's writing.
All right, Mr. Wise Guy, you wrote it. Now read it. What does it say?
It says, The Dodgers and Me, on sale May 18th at all bookshops.
Did you hear that, Judge? The Dodgers are for sale.
Yeah, that does it. Allen is scalping tickets, and this con man is trying to sell the Dodgers. Clancy, hand me the reservation book for Sing Sing.
Your Honor, this is ridiculous. Leo, tell him who you really are.
But Fred, my literary standing.
But Leo, Sing Sing.
Oh, all right. Your Honor, I'm manager of the Brooklyn Dodgers.
What did you say your name was again?
Durocher, Leo Durocher.
Leo Durocher. How long you been managing the Dodgers?
9 years.
Oh, yeah? Where was you last year?
Well, it's a long story, Judge. Part of the time I was writing a book.
And you say this year you're managing the Dodgers?
Yes, Your Honor.
Better you should start writing another book.
What do you mean?
Well, what happened last Wednesday? The Giants beat us. What's the big idea? Using 24 men.
Well, the Dodgers had a bad day, Your Honor.
Why don't you fix the lineup?
What's wrong with the lineup?
Well, you got Ward on first, Robinson on second, Cox on third.
What lineup would you use?
Well, first I put Stanky on second. Stanky's in Boston. What's Stanky doing in Boston? The Dodgers is playing in Brooklyn.
We sold Stanky to Boston.
Brooklyn sold Stanky. Would the Mine Workers Union tell John L. Lewis? I'm not managing the Mine Workers Union. Well, anyway, there's one consolation. We still got Dixie Walker. Judge, haven't you heard? Leo, you didn't. Dixie was sold to Pittsburgh. Leo, do we still have 9 men left? What do you think we're playing with? You knucklehead bat boy. Okay, old Leo, but let's get them organized. Maybe we won't win the pennant, but at least we won't fall out of the league.
Hey, Judge, Your Honor, what about my trial?
Quiet. The court's busy trying to save the Dodgers. Now, Leo, here's your line. All right, Judge. Who's on first? Now, what's on first? That's what I said. Who's on first? Who's on second? What's on first?
Your Honor, what about me?
You're on third. Now, listen, Leo. Quiet, you.
This is NBC, the National Broadcasting Company.